Good morning. Good morning, board. Well, it's good. Nice to see everybody's face here. So we are going to go ahead and get started and call this meeting to order. As of now, I'm going to go ahead and ask Monica to call our roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Present.
Kelly Funk,
Present.
Anthony Bertram,
Present.
Megan Ellis,
Present.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Present.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Present.
Tamika Miller,
Present.
Danielle Munoz,
Present.
Callie Mayfam,
Present.
Steve Weeks.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, at this time, we will turn it over to our administrative law judge, Chantal Samponia. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. We're just about to start the hearing regarding Ms. Pedraza, but I know we have a lot of students here and some public in addition to that, and I want to welcome you all as well. And just remind everyone that it is a hearing and we are going to have decorum, keep our cell phones off, not talk, and let the matter proceed. Okay? Ms. Pedraza, can you come up? And Ms. Pedraza, you're representing yourself today, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, make sure you turn on your.
Yes.
Excellent. So before the hearing, we went over a little bit about the hearing process, but we're going to start with opening statements. Then we're going to move on to the exhibits and testimony. You'll testify, and there may be questions of you, and then the record will close after closing argument if you choose to present one. And within 30 days, a decision will be issued. If you have questions at any time, just let us know. Okay. Oh,
Remember to keep the microphone on. If you want to keep it on, just keep it on for yourself, and that way you don't have to turn it back on. That you yourself.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. We are on the record in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Angelina Leon Pedraza, cosmetologist license number K374035 petitioner. This matter is heard before the quorum of the State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. The OAH case number is 2025-050-150. The agency case number is 100-2025-018-099. Today's date and time is Monday, May 19th, 2025. It is now 10:03 in the morning. This matter is being held on behalf of the California Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. My name is Administrative Law Judge Chantal Samponia. I'm with the Office of Administrative Hearings, the Los Angeles office. And may I take appearances, please? First, on behalf of the state.
Good morning, Kevin J. Sheddick, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you. Ms. Pedraza, please.
Excuse me. First I want to say,
State your name
oh, hi, my name is Angelina Pedraza.
and phone number. It's Irene Mendoza, California State Attorney. Move on to opening statements. Oh, you want to clarify? You have the version of the right now.
I'm sorry, the microphone.
You're not turning it off, so I'm not sure. Does it just get turned?
I can have like a preset where it turns off after a period of time. I'm working on it right now.
Oh, okay. That the burden of proof is by clear and convincing evidence. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Sheddick.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to first mark for identification and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1, the petition packet for this case. The board members and petitioner have been provided with a copy of the same set of documents, which includes the petition for reinstatement form, petitioner's supporting documents, the hearing confirmation form, the notice of hearing, the license certification, a stipulated settlement and disciplinary order from case number 2012-2962, the probation orientation packet, the proposed decision and order from case number 2018-2298, the inspection report and citation letter for working unlicensed, and the proposed decision and order from case number 2021-10385.
So marked as
Sorry.
So marked as Exhibit 1. petitioner packet for the petition for reinstatement. Is there any objection to Exhibit 1 being entered as direct evidence?
No.
Hearing no, Exhibit 1 is so entered.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I'd like to just offer a brief summary of the case. Petitioner was issued a cosmetologist license on October 5th, 1999. The license was revoked April 16th, 2018. Petitioner was also issued an establishment license in 2003, which she later surrendered. In 2013, an accusation was filed following an inspection of petitioner's establishment at that time, Jewel Iris Beauty Salon. The accusation was based on petitioner's employment of an unlicensed person, interference with the board's inspection, and various health and safety violations. Petitioner stipulated to surrender the establishment license and placed her cosmetologist license on a 4-year probation effective November 3rd, 2014. Petitioner violated her probation in 2015 after she failed to attend a scheduled orientation meeting. In 2017, a petition to revoke probation was filed. Ms. Pedraza filed a notice of defense and the matter went to hearing. However, she failed to appear at that hearing, which resulted in a default and the revocation of her cosmetologist license. On August 16th, 2018, the board conducted an inspection of a salon by the name of Deverly's Beauty Salon and found Ms. Pedraza working in the establishment with a revoked license. The board cited her for working as an unlicensed individual and for working in an expired establishment. In 2020, petitioner filed a petition for reinstatement of her cosmetologist license. That petition was heard in 2021 and denied. In total, the board has issued 8 citations to petitioner. 1 was issued in 2010, 3 were issued in 2011, 2 in 2012, 1 in 2013, and 1 in 2018. These included violations for health and safety violations, operating under an unlicensed establishment, no licensee in charge of the establishment, displaying an expired establishment license, using the restroom for storage, employing an unlicensed person, working as an unlicensed individual, and working in an expired establishment. Petitioner still currently owes the board $5,195 in outstanding fines and cost recovery, which must be paid prior to the issuance of a new or reinstated license. In her current petition application, petitioner provides 4 character reference letters, but does not include any personal statement to explain why she believes her license should be reinstated, despite the numerous and varied violations in the past. I'm now prepared to proceed with a few questions for petitioner unless she wants to first make an opening statement.
So Ms. Pedraza, on behalf of the state, Mr. Sheddick has introduced that information, and I'm going to swear you in now. This is your opportunity to testify on your behalf, but Mr. Sheddick also has some questions for you, and he can start there if you would like.
Yes, I hear everything what they say, and it's a long story.
Wait, no, I need to swear you in first. You ready? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as required by law under penalty of perjury?
I say the truth.
Please state and spell your full name slowly for the record. You can put your hand down.
Okay, my name is Angelina Pedraza,
And
and
spell your name slowly, please.
spell Angelina, Pedraza, Pedraza.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Sheddick has some questions for you. Do you want
Sure.
to start there?
Yeah,
Good morning, Ms. Pedraza. Can you tell us where you're currently employed?
me, I taking care of my father. He's 95 years old. My son's 32 years old. He has schizophrenia and bipolar. And the beauty salon is a very small hair salon, has only 2 hair stations. One is for Ashley, that she used to work with me when she didn't have a license. And my business is not very well because my situation. But I try to do my best, and I very limit with my money, and I just have to work and taking care of my father, and the state pays me a little bit. And I have pictures from my mom that she's 88 years. My father is 95. And I'm happy to be with them, be with them and take care of them.
Okay, let's just back up a little bit. So are you currently employed by anyone? Or are you working for yourself or what?
The beauty salon, I changed to give souvenirs, but I'm not making enough money. Everything is very expensive. My son's 32 years old. And I always most of the time with him, I taking care of him, and I have to go therapy with him. And the other half of the time, I spend with my father, and I taking care of my father.
Okay. Can you tell us why you want your cosmetologist license to be reinstated?
That's because something I learned that in Mexico. And when I came from Mexico, I went to Saddleback College and I want to enroll in cosmetology school. And they told me if I want to go by Saddleback, I must have to have my GED. And I did my GED in 6 months. And that's something that I did in Mexico, and I would like to do over here because that's my passion, and I do because I love it and I like it, but not because I want to make extremely money. Money for living is fine, but I still want to have my hair salon because when I opened the hair salon and I have my license, I didn't know how to start business. I didn't know so many things. And I didn't plan to open a hair salon. When I went to school, I started working for Supercuts because my teacher advised me to go at Supercuts because they teach me, I learn from them. And after I work around the senior places in San Juan Capistrano, and I take care of the senior people doing the hair. And I work for a big company from Tuesday to Saturday. And I love the job, but I never had the plans to open a hair salon. And one of my clients, they say, I want you to open your hair salon in this place. And I say, how? So she helped me with, I didn't believe that. She helped me with the money. She helped me with everything. And I asked 2 or 3 people, they own hair salons, how to do the steps, and they can help me. But honestly, I have no reason, but they didn't help me. So I tried to do my hair salon. It's very small, but I know some of the things they say in the statement. I believe that's not true. And before I have my own hair salon,
I'm going to interrupt you just for
Yeah.
one moment. So you're kind of going far afield.
yeah,
So the question was why you want your license reinstated.
because
Wait,
I
hold
will
on,
love
hold
to
on,
do hair.
Hold on. When Mr. Sheddick is done with his questions, you're going to be able to testify openly. But right now, he's asked a question and you're really answering that question. So the question is, why do you want it reinstated?
Because I feel like I'm still young and I have an offer from my friend to work in a senior place, but I must have to have my license to work in the senior place. And my friend, she owns a hair salon. She was the first Hispanic and she works in Ivy and Laguna Niguel. And she told me, Angelina, I think you will be a good person, a good hairstylist to work with me. And I say, I don't have my license. And she says, well, try to work till you get your license back. And I say, it's hard because it's a lot of information in my background. And some of the things, I don't believe that's true, but I'm not here to say that. I'm here because first of all, I want to say thank you for all of you to be here for
I'm
us.
asking why
and
you
I-
want your license reinstated, so you can speak. to
Because
that.
I can work for senior people.
Okay, Mr. Sheddick, your next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Pedraza, why did you fail to appear for the administrative hearing on the board's petition to revoke your probation back in 2017?
Because when this happened, I did on the phone. I did on the phone, not like here. And like now, I'm a little bit nervous. And English is my second language. And it's not easy sometimes for me to explain myself the way I want to be. Because I can say a lot and maybe it doesn't mean anything. And maybe I can say few words and I can mean a lot. So the day I was very nervous.
Okay. And you recognize you've had quite a number of violations while you were licensed by the board, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Section H of the petition that you submitted requires that you attach a description of what you have done to rehabilitate yourself pursuant to the criteria set forth in the California Code of Regulations, and any documentation supporting your rehabilitation efforts. It looks like you've submitted some character reference letters, but I don't see any documentation regarding what you've done to rehabilitate yourself. Can you tell us now what, if anything, you've done to rehabilitate yourself since your license was revoked?
Okay, I should get more information about that because the three people that used to work for me without license, they're very successful. The three of them, they have the license again. They have the license, they work for that, and one of them is the one, she works in the hair salon. She's only the hairstylist. She's been working in the hair salon.
Ms. Pedraza, I'm going to ask you some questions about the letters, a couple questions about those next, but just my question now is what you've done to rehabilitate yourself. Do
Me?
you understand?
Yeah, I went to school and I have a class, the rules and regulations in Santa Ana. I've been in college. And when I was there, of course, they offered me to become a teacher too, and they explained me how to be. But I say, no, that was not for me that. So I going to, I don't know how to explain you, but, well, I'm here because I want my license back. That's something that I really want to have again, and I will never make the
Ms.
mistakes.
Pedraza, again, you're going to get an opportunity to tell us what you want to tell us. But the question is very specific about what you've done to rehabilitate yourself. So you mentioned a class, a rules and regulation class in Santa Ana. Is there something else that you've done to rehabilitate yourself?
I always say, I just want to have the license because I feel it's something that I only, I do hair from my heart. Believe it or not, I
Ms.
take
Pedraza,
care of
Ms.
people.
Pedraza. The question is there anything else you've done to rehabilitate yourself? It can be yes or no, and then Mr. Sheddick will have other questions.
Mm, um, well, it's hard for me to explain that because it's something that if I say with my words, you can see it. It's like, I have nobody, I don't know. That's fine.
Okay, Ms. Pedraza, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about the character reference letters that you submitted with your petition for reinstatement. Beginning with the first letter from Maria Elena Pedraza. She's your sister, correct?
Yes,
The letter is undated. Do you recall when it was prepared?
yeah, she prepared the letter.
Okay, do you recall when it was prepared?
We say a month and a half ago.
Okay, did you explain to your sister why you needed the letter?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
I say, what she thinks about me and what did I should have my license back.
Did she ever work with you in a salon?
She's not a licensed person and she don't know how to do hair. How can she works there?
I'm just asking. Did she? No? Okay. Did you ever perform any hairdressing services for her when you were licensed?
If I ever do hair on myself, to my sister, that's the question?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. She mentions how you treated, quote, every single client. How does she know how you treated every single client if she wasn't present with you when you were working?
Because my family and I, we're very close, and my sisters, they used to come and see me because I have 11 brothers and sisters, and my mom and my father.
Sorry, one second.
So she comes
Hold
to
on, Ms.
me.
Pedraza, just one moment. Madam Court Reporter needs to hear your voice a little bit more, so if you can face
Her?
either front or over towards. Ms.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You can adjust the microphone, whatever you.
Well, when he says that to me, my family, we're very close. My sisters, they like my friends. And when I used to work, they come and visit me very often.
Okay, so was she aware of why your cosmetologist license had been revoked?
Yes,
And was she aware of the 8 prior citations you received?
yes.
All right, let's move on to the next letter from Daniela Perez. How do you know Ms. Perez?
Daniela, she's a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine.
Okay, and this letter is also undated. Can you tell us when it was prepared?
I would say, I would say almost the same time.
And when approximately was that?
I would say about 2 months ago.
Okay. And did you explain to Ms. Perez why you needed the letter?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
Well, I told her about my history, about my license, and she felt like, oh, okay, I will help you. But now I should just ask the people that used to work with me, and I feel I need more, maybe more letters about people they know me.
Okay. Did Ms. Perez ever observe your work as a hairstylist?
Yes,
And how did that come to be? How did she observe your work?
with that, because she came from Cabo, and I used to go Cabo sometimes. I have my aunt over there. She owns a hair salon over there, and when I go over there, I don't need my license to work over there, and I work on her hair salon with her.
Okay. And was she aware of your discipline history with the board?
Her?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Let's move to the next letter from Diana Chinchilla.
Yes.
Can you tell us how you know Miss Chinchilla?
Because she works with my sister and in a small business.
All right. And again, this letter is undated. Can you tell us when it was prepared?
Well, honestly, it was almost in the same time because I always busy with my family or doing things, and I was thinking about, is it time for me to go court? And I've been done not too much to show who I am or what I've been done.
Okay, so that was approximately 2 months ago. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And did you explain to her, to Miss Chinchilla, why you needed the letter?
Yes.
What did you tell her?
Well, I explained the same as the others
Okay.
about what happened to me in the past.
And did Miss Chinchilla ever have an opportunity to observe your work as a hairstylist?
Yes.
And how was that?
How is that?
How did she observe your work?
Well, I would say she's from Colombia, and I met her before. I met her, and she knows me. Okay.
Right, but did she ever go to your salon and watch you perform
Well,
hairstyling services?
when she says on this letter about how I take care of clients, she doesn't mean in the hair salon. She does in the gift shop because the hair salon used to be Jewel Iris Gifts, and so Jewel Iris Beauty Salon, and because I have to make a little bit of money, I put Jewel Iris Gifts and Souvenirs since the day I don't have my license.
Okay, so are you saying she observed your work in the gift shop?
Yeah, she and the gift shop, yes.
And was she aware of your discipline history with the board?
Yes, I explained her, and also, okay, that's fine.
All right. Let's move on to the last letter from Jason. No last name provided. What's his last name?
Gonzalez,
Gonzalez. And he's your son, is that right?
yes.
Is he your only son?
No, I have 4.
Okay. Um, this letter is one dated. Was this prepared in the same timeline as the others, approximately 2 months ago?
Almost in the same time.
Okay. And did you explain to your son why you needed this letter?
I don't have explained too much because he will see me how I'm suffer without my license.
Okay. And you testified during your last reinstatement hearing that you sold your salon to your son following your license revocation. Was that to your son, Jason Gonzalez?
No, to Daniel.
Oh, okay, so different son, Daniel. And does Daniel still own the salon?
Yes, but that's the one he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar few years ago.
Can you repeat what you stated? It's diagnosed with.
Schizophrenia and bipolar. That's why I was most in the hair salon myself, but not doing hair. But when somebody else come, I try to be always there.
Okay, so does he still own the salon?
Yes, but Um, that was something that I did because I didn't want to lose the hair salon, and he always said that he wants to become a barber. But when I start like 10 years ago, see him very weird. I took him to a few clinics in Mexico and over here, and my father has schizophrenia. And he's something generic, so uh, that's why my life is been a little bit hard. But I try my best.
I understand. So how is he able to manage the salon if he's having these difficulties?
He don't manage the hair salon. Usually I do with him. So we always together. And God has been blessing me having this place because my son, most of the time, he's with me. He only feels safe with me. And sometimes it's really hard.
Okay, yeah. Can you explain a little bit about what you do as far as your work to make sure that the salon is still open?
Because before, when one of the hairdressers, she never have the license. She worked to get the license, and she's a hairdresser and barber. And she came back to me. She says, Angelina, I know your hair salon has been closed for almost 2 months. I would like to work for you. But to have a hair salon, at least you need to have at least 3 hairdressers to make a little bit of money. I'm not making any money because it's only the one she's been working there.
Okay. Do you ever perform any hairdressing services in the salon?
Me? No, now. Just to my father, they do the hair color, and I cut his hair, and I have pictures from my father, my mom. I do to my sisters, but I don't charge money. I do at home, but once in a while, and I know I can work like asking people to pay me, because if you go to beauty supplies, you have a hair color that they sell to customers without license. If you go to the grocery store, you have a color, that means that you can do at home. That's only what I do now, and I've been done that. But not to people charging money, or because that's not a job. I'm really busy with my family.
Okay. When's the last time you worked at the salon and charged money for your services?
Uh, Honestly, since Mrs. Espinosa, she came the last time when I was there, and I tried to make some money for my needs. And she came and she says, Angelina, don't do hair anymore, because if you really want your license back, you can continue this. Otherwise, that will be hard to get your license back. And I listened to her, and I don't do hair. I don't do hair. I would say about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so it's 2025, so we're talking maybe 2021 or 2020? Does
Yeah,
that sound
something
right?
like that.
Something like that? Okay, and your license has been revoked since 2018, correct?
2018. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. But if you go to San Juan Capistrano, if you see the homeless people there, you ask them, and I used to do the hair for some of them for free. And I don't work because I just want the money. I work because I like to do hair.
Okay. Have you done anything to keep current with the board's rules, excuse me, with the board's rules and regulations during the time that your license has been revoked?
Yes, I mentioned I went to Santa Ana Beauty College, and I did rules and regulations, 180 hours.
Okay, and what, if anything, have you learned from the experience of having your license revoked and having to file a petition for reinstatement?
Well, if anybody comes to a hair salon and apply for a job, no matter how professional they are, no matter how much needs they have for them, we must not give the job, because it's really hard if they must have to have a license. And if it's okay, because, if you have a kid and you take a kid to daycare, you must need to have somebody else to have a license, because you will believe that the people will take care better, but sometimes they not.
Do the hairdressers working at your salon that your son owns currently have licenses?
Yeah, the three of them, two of them, Daniel was without license. He lives in Palm Springs. He has a very good barber shop. He's very successful, and he always remember me and say thank to me because I encouraged him to finish studying. Going, he was a he finished cosmetology school, but he failed the test 2 or 3 times, and I encouraged him to go to barber school and just get 200 more time hours to do, and he passed the test, but he went back to Palm Springs and opened his own shop. And the other lady, Francisco Lagunas, she owns a hair salon by Laguna Beach. And Ashley, that was David Vargas, that's the one she's working for me. And she works in the hair salon and it's only her.
Okay, and do you provide training and assistance to these hairdressers at the salon?
To who?
To the three hairdressers you just mentioned?
Uh, I didn't train anything at all. I learned a lot from them. And I don't train anybody. You know.
Are you aware that you still currently owe the board $5,195 in outstanding fees, or fines rather, and cost recovery?
Yes, and I'm sorry, but I need to make the payments um, as soon as is possible. But usually the money I make and I get paid, it's not enough for my food and my rent, but I will do my best.
Okay, and what assurances can you give the board that if your cosmetologist license were to be reinstated, that you would comply with your duty to adhere to the board's rules and regulations?
Excuse me, can you repeat again?
Yeah, what kind of assurances, what can you tell the board to make them believe that this time around you would comply with the rules and regulations if your license were to be reinstated?
Because before I opened my hair salon, I was making better money and work less. When I worked for the senior places, I worked for a big company, and I only work from Tuesday to Saturday from 8 to 3 o'clock. Only if the seniors make me appointments on a different day, I will go over there. And because my friend, she's working in a big senior place, and she's been begging me to work for her. I say, I can. I must have to have my license. And she says, well, work for that, Janina, but that's not easy. It's not depends of me. So if I would get the license back, I will work for a senior place because the clients pay better than what I am.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pedraza. I don't have any further questions.
Yeah.
Ms. Pedraza, so those were your answers to.
Would you please, it would be the last time he says.
You answered those questions. This is your opportunity now to testify, to tell the board what you want the board to know before it makes its decision. So this is sort of testifying in the narrative, meaning you just say what you want us to know. If it goes off track a little bit, I may redirect you, but you may begin now with your testimony. Go ahead.
Well, if I'm here, it's because I would like to have the opportunity to get my license back. And I'm 59 years old. I have more years to work, and it's not too much to do to make money for living. And if I have the license, I can work with this. I can work in this place that they seniors, and I already work with seniors before I have the hair salon, and that's more not easy, but doesn't make me any problems starting having the hair salon and try to hire people. That's not easy to find a good hairstylist because a hairstylist is few things. Like you need to know about your hair. You need to know about how to treat people and be a good hairstylist. And, and you need to have, it's, it's more easy for me to work with somebody else in another place. They have a hair salon. I feel like having a hair salon has been problems for me. Before, when I worked for this company, I didn't have no problems. I was very happy.
Okay.
And
Is there anything else you want the board to know regarding your rehabilitation or any remorse for your previous acts or anything along those lines?
well, I feel I have the passion to do hair. And some of people, they always tell me, Angelina, what do you do? Who does your hair? I said, nobody. I cut my hair. I do myself. And I say, oh, okay. And some people, they told me what I don't work in the hair salon. And I can explain people because explain my life with details takes time. I just say, no, I'm busy with my family. But that's not true. It's because I don't have my license. That's why.
Do any of the board members have any questions?
Yes, hi, Tanya Fairley, Board President and industry member. I'm a salon owner and an active stylist myself. I actually have quite a few questions for you.
Sure.
One of the things that I want to know is, do you understand what your responsibility as a licensee is to the public?
Yes.
Can you tell me what that is?
The license from the hair salon or my license myself?
The license for yourself.
It's really important because when you work in a public place and requires to have the license,
Sorry, can you hold on just one moment? I think I hear video games happening on a cell phone. I hear dinging or something, so if that sound. Anyway, if everyone could just make sure that they're not using cell phones or any way that's making a dinging.
It sounds like an alarm.
Oh, it's an alarm? Okay.
It's not.
Hmm?
It's not around.
It's not around here? Okay, okay, sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't do
That's
that question.
okay.
I just didn't know. It's okay.
Go ahead.
yeah. Well, if it's a public place and that's the rules and regulations, not from the state, from all the United States, the people who opens a hair salon, they must have a license, the hairstylist.
So let me just clarify for you. As a licensee, your number one priority is public safety. So you being a licensee, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are operating in a manner that keeps the public safe.
Yes.
And after reviewing your file and reviewing your citations, you have been repeatedly fined for not complying with public safety, operating an establishment with no license, employing unlicensed individuals, unclean instruments on several occasions. And each time that you were fined, it put the public safety at risk. So as a industry member, as a stylist, and you're here to get your license back, what can you offer to tell me that you're going to make sure that the public safety is number one priority and not just making money?
Because you learn from your mistakes. And sometimes when you work in a hair salon with other hairdressers, it's really hard to tell them each day what to do. And that's why I say to prevent these problems, I would prefer maybe don't have the hair salon anymore. I just want my license because I want to work in a senior place. And now that was not just me, but sometimes I would say, I don't know, because I have, the hair salon was clean. I don't know why they say that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you tell me is that you would be a better suited as an employee and not as a salon owner. But you were cited under your individual license for the practices of not protecting the public, not as just a salon owner. So again, what is it that you can offer to this board to let us know that if you were to get your license back as an individual, that the public safety would be number one and not just making money?
Because that's for myself too. Of course, you have to be safety for the other people because that's one of the very important matters when you go to a hair salon. You expect to have everything sanitized and clean.
Okay. My next question is, you had stated that when you were fined, the first salon was Jewel Iris Beauty Salon, and then you sold it to your son? What was the
Yes.
name of the salon that you sold to your son?
Jewel Iris Beauty Salon,
And what is the name of that salon now?
Beverly Beauty Salon.
Okay, so let me be clear on something. You were cited for Jewel Iris Beauty Salon. You were suspended and then revoked for Jewel Iris. So then you sold it to your son under Devries, and then you were cited again at Devries, working as an unlicensed individual and working in an expired establishment. So you sold one place to get out of the fines and then worked as a unlicensed individual, so you were still putting the public safety at risk.
By the time I was there with one of the co-workers, Laura, when I have the inspector to came, but I was not doing hair, I was sitting there. And she confirmed me that I was in the hair salon. And I say, no, because it's, the hair salon is this side and the gift shop is in this side. It's like combined. But she didn't believe me.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any other members? Okay,
I'm trying to understand why we should overlook your past history with this board. You've been not abiding by our regulations for 14 years, consistently. We've cited you 5 times for unlicensed activity. Your past is not very strong with us. You've not dealt with us in good faith for the last 14 years. Why should we overlook all of that?
Mm. When I put the sign that I want to hire a hairstylist, I didn't do the phone, but I did by the window. And these people, the ones, David, Daniel was not, just David and Yahira, that they came and they asked me to hire them. That's the ones they was with us.
That's not my question. My question was, why should we overlook your entire past with us? You've been negligent in so many areas. Why now should we overlook that?
Because I didn't want to fire them because I don't know. It's hard for me to tell you because I was fired them and just keep the hair salon for myself. But one of them, her mom has cancer, but she passed away already. She says, Angelina, don't fire me. I want the job. I need the job. And I say,
Ms. Pedraza?
I don't have any more questions.
Okay, good. Okay. It's really important to listen to the question and make sure that you're answering the question. You've already had an opportunity to provide information you want to provide, and you'll be given another opportunity. But the board members are asking very specific questions, and that's what you need to answer. Otherwise, it becomes,
yeah,
otherwise it becomes non-responsive, and that also goes to your credibility. If you're not answering a question, it tends to demonstrate a lack of credibility. So you need to answer the question being asked. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. Thank you for being here. So your son Daniel still operates Deverly's Salon, is that correct? And in addition to the senior center, do you have any ambition to work with your son at that salon again?
I always say yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Go ahead.
Hello,
Hi.
thank you for being here.
No, you, thank you for
I'm
being
trying to find the certificate of completion for the 180 hours for your continuing education. Do you have that?
I give to the state for when I did. I don't know if they still keep it or not, but I don't have with me at the moment, but I did.
Anything that you provided would have been in here, so I don't think that we received it.
I always can go back to the school and request for that, but
Yeah.
maybe I don't have with me. I just give to them.
What dates did you complete your?
This is a while ago, about 11 years ago.
So it was 11 years
When
since your
they,
last health
when
and
they took
safety.
my license, when they revoked my license, the state would require me to go, and I went over there to school in San Ana.
Okay, great. And then I wanted to also touch base on what we're looking for right now is not passion so much as we're looking for health and safety. Our number one goal is health and safety. I want you to imagine a client that you love and you do hair for them and they look beautiful and they're leaving the salon, but you have unclean tools and they get an infection. Do you think it would be appropriate for us to tell them, well, it's passion?
No, of
Absolutely
course
not. So I really am trying to hear from you. I just want to make this transparent. I'm trying to hear from you if you understand the health and safety piece. And I'd love to hear more about your plans to keep your salon safe because passion alone does not keep the public safe.
Well, if I would get the license back, I don't plan to hire people. If I don't work in the senior place, if I will get my license back, I only gonna work myself and turn to a beauty supplies. Because working with people, having co-workers, sometimes it's not easy. If they don't follow the rules and regulations, no matter if they have license or not. So to me, most of my problems I have in the past is because my feelings. Sometimes you let it go and do things from your heart, not from your mind. So I learned now that nobody's there for me, just me. And when I need something, I don't see nobody around me, just me. So I learned no matter how much a person needs the job, if I don't have a license, I must have to say no. You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Any other additional testimony?
Me?
Are you ready for closing argument?
Well, I'm just happy from the people that used to work with me because they have a license, they become a hairdresser, barbers, and they're very successful in life. And everything about the statement say about me, I know, only God said me know what is true and what is not.
Okay, we'll move on to closing argument then. That sounded like a closing argument, but do you have something else you want to say to summarize your case?
No, I just want to say thank you to all of you to be here for us. And maybe I don't express myself the way I want to be. First of all, I'm nervous. And second one, I didn't notice until now that my file over there didn't have enough information to say good things about myself. And that's it. And if I'm here, it's because, believe it or not, I believe in God. God wants me to be here. If I get my license back, I will really appreciate and say thank you to all of you because I don't know if I see your face again. If I don't have, it's some other things I can do, and I will try to do my best on my life. I'm a nutritionist too, and it's something else. I went to college too, and I get my certificate for being a nutritionist, but English is my second language, and it's not easy to do that. So doing hair, you need the hands and your mind. You don't need too much to speak and talk to people. Yeah, but it's something that you have to advise your customer when they come to you, because a lot of times customers, they want you to advise them, not just to do whatever they say. So,
Thank you.
uh,
Fettig?
No, Your Honor, we'll defer to the board for their decision on the petition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The matter's closed.
Thank you, everyone, for coming back. And now I'm going to turn it back over to our administrative law judge.
Thank you. We are now on the record in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Francisco Lemus, barbering license number B85000, petitioner. This matter is heard before the quorum of the State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. The OH case number is 2025-050021. The agency case number is 1002025018087. Today's date and time is Monday, May 19th, 2025. It is now 11:04 in the morning. My name is Chantal Samponia. I'm the administrative law judge assigned to hear this matter. It's being heard in front of the board through the Los Angeles office of the Office of Administrative Hearings. May I take appearances, please? First, on behalf of the state and board.
Good morning, Kevin Sheddick, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you. Mr. Lemus, can you state your name, please?
Francisco Lemos.
Lemus, thank you. And Madam Court Reporter. Thank you. So we went over a few things before, but now's your opportunity, if you'd like, to make an opening statement in support of your petition. Is there anything you'd like to say before we get into the evidence?
Just thank you for giving me the opportunity again to come to try to reinstate my license.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Shetty?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would first like to mark for identification and offer into evidence as Exhibit 1 the petition packet for this case. The board members and the petitioner have been provided with a copy of the same set of documents as this exhibit, which includes the petition for reinstatement form, the hearing confirmation form, the notice of hearing, the license certification, the inspection reports, the default decision and order for case number 2017-24035, the order granting stay of execution, the motion to vacate denial letter, the petition for reinstatement in case number 2022-13147, and the decision and order in case number 2022-13147.
So marked as Exhibit 1, the petition packet. Is there any objection to Exhibit 1 being entered as direct evidence?
No.
It is so entered.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to now offer a brief summary of the case.
Go ahead.
Petitioner was issued a barber license on March 17th, 2009. Petitioner was also issued an establishment license on March 11th, 2014. Both licenses were revoked August 31st, 2018. The board issued 2 citations to petitioner in 2017. The first citation included violations for employing unlicensed operators and numerous health and safety violations. Second citation, again, was for employing unlicensed operators in the establishment. An accusation was filed in 2018 based on petitioner again employing unlicensed operators in the establishment and again on numerous health and safety violations. Petitioner failed to file a notice of defense, which resulted in a default decision and order revoking his establishment license and his barber license. Respondent moved to vacate that default decision and order, but that was denied. In 2019, petitioner submitted a petition for reinstatement of his barber license. That matter went to hearing and was denied. Petitioner does not owe any balance for fines or cost recovery. With respect to the current petition for reinstatement, it does not include any personal statement or supporting documents. And I'm now prepared to proceed with a few questions for the petitioner unless he wants to make his opening statement at this time.
So I can swear you in now, and Mr. Shedek has questions for you unless you'd like to make an opening statement.
No, I'm not ready for
Okay,
any questions.
swear you in?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as required by law under penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state, you can put your hand down. Please state and spell your full name slowly for the record.
Francisco Lemos.
You can spell it slowly.
Oh, FRANCISCO LEMUS, Lemos.
Thank you. So Mr. Sheddick's going to start with some questions, and then you can proceed with your own testimony. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Lemos, a couple questions first about your petition that you submitted. I noticed in the petition at section G, question 4, it asks you whether you currently have any criminal charges pending against you, and you did not respond. Why did you leave that blank?
I don't, sir. I don't have no criminal, no active ones that I'm actually going through court. I haven't got no fines and no tickets, nothing. So that's why I left it blank.
Was that just an oversight then? And the answer to that question is no? Is that?
That's no, yeah.
Okay, no criminal charges pending?
No, sir.
Okay. And section H of the petition requires that you attach a description of what you've done to rehabilitate yourself pursuant to the criteria set forth in the Code of Regulations and any documentation supporting your rehabilitation efforts. I don't see that you provided any supporting documents there. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when your last petition for reinstatement was denied, effective July 1st, 2022, you also failed to complete the answers on the petition form, including section G, question 4. And the decision in that case in 2022 denying your reinstatement stated in the last paragraph that if you decided to file a petition in the future, you were, quote, encouraged to complete the petition form fully, including answering all applicable questions and providing all requested information. Petitioner also should take care to provide evidence concerning the criteria specified in Regulation 971 Subdivision C, end quote. Did you read that decision denying your last petition for reinstatement?
I believe I did read it. I just, be honest with you, I didn't go into it.
Okay. All right. Can you tell us where you're currently employed?
I'm a self-employed. I run a party supply business right now at the moment. I invested my time and my money. I do tables, chairs, canopies. I rent jumpers, and I do catering.
Can
Okay.
you state that just one time? We missed some of it. So
Oh.
just, can you just provide? it
It's a
again?
party supply, tables, chairs.
Party supply.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
And what's your position there?
I'm an owner, sir. I self-employed. I run it from home, and pretty much wherever I cater to whoever calls me for an event.
Do you have any employees?
No, sir.
Okay. And is that a full-time job for you?
Yes, sir, at the moment.
Now, why do you want your barber license to be reinstated?
I just figured I'd give it another shot. Why not? You know, that's all we have in life is opportunities, and we can keep going. Why not? So I figured I put it on the back burner for a few years, and I said, let me give it another shot, see if they reinstate it. Maybe just something to have for the future, something I can have active.
So assuming it were to be reinstated, what would your plan be? Would you give up the party supply business and focus on barbering?
No, not necessarily. If I could do both, I'll be great. Maybe just try to work at a shop, maybe 35, 40 hours, maybe later on when I, and do the party supply within the weekend. Usually my events are Saturdays and Sundays. And that's pretty much what I would like to do.
Okay, so it would be your intention to work at somebody else's establishment?
That's correct, sir.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done to rehabilitate yourself since your license was revoked?
Well, as far as my license, I haven't pretty much done nothing but just stop cutting hair.
Well, my question is what you've done to rehabilitate yourself. So steps that you've taken to better yourself to show the board that you're not going to make the same mistakes that you made in the past.
I stopped cutting hair, like I said, and to not make the mistakes I was doing, it was pretty much unlicensed, hiring unlicensed barbers. So, like I said, I haven't been cutting hair. That's the only thing I stopped doing. I run another business. I haven't really done much with as far as barbering, you know what I mean? So I left it alone.
Okay. Have you done anything to keep current on barbering standards and regulations?
I know I haven't, sir.
Okay. As you can imagine, the board is looking for assurances that you're not going to make the same mistakes that you've made in the past with regard to your license. So can you give us some kind of assurances that if your barber license were to be reinstated, that you would comply with your duties and comply with the board's rules and regulations?
Well, pretty much it's hiring unlicensed barbers. I know it's tough it's a responsibility as you as an owner to make sure you stay on them, not just with a license, but make sure they keep their station clean, because most of these barbers, they know the rules, but you slip up and they start making errors. So it's your responsibility as an owner to check their stations as well, make sure everything's coordinated with the barber. The cleanness of the barber station needs to be. So pretty much, that's pretty much it. Just hire licensed barbers and try to do a better job to discipline these barbers to keep their stations clean. Cause some of these guys, they start messing up, you know, and then you start messing up not being on it.
All right. What, if anything, have you learned from having your licenses disciplined?
Oh, it's been a roller coaster. I mean, something that I learned is that it's a privilege to have your barber license, and you know, it's been tough, but you know, I've been pulling through. Like I said, I started another business, but it's something that I miss doing for sure. You know, it's good there.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So this is your opportunity now to tell the board what you want the board to know. So they're looking at your rehabilitation, they're looking at your, any remorse for prior violations. So this is, you can tell the board now, and then they may have questions for you afterwards.
Right. Well, pretty much just thank you for giving me the opportunity to try to get it reinstated. You know, like I said, I did errors before, hiring unlicensed barbers and slipping up as a shop owner. Cause you know, you hire these barbers and most of these, specialists, there's new generation, it's tough to keep in line. But me as a owner, you know, I guess I got to do a better job if I get the opportunity one day to have another shop or to work as a barber in the shop. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys for giving me a shot.
Do any of the board members have questions?
Good. Is it still morning? Yes, it's still morning. Good morning. I'm Tanya Fairley, board president and also industry member, salon owner, stylist. And I'm looking here, and I guess my question to you is, do you have the desire to ever own an establishment again?
You know what, maybe, yeah, why not?
Mhm.
Give it a shot, not soon. But maybe go back to a barber shop and just try to get it back into the field, you know, take the rustiness off and maybe one day, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you learn from this experience? Because it appears that you've been suspended and your license has been revoked since 2018. So what have you learned from this experience?
You know, it's a lot, you know, it's just, like I said, it's, just making bad decisions, you know what I mean? Being a shop owner. As far as hiring unlicensed barbers, because sometimes you're a shop owner and it's hard to find licensed barbers. You put help one size out there and it's hard to get in the door. And then, like I said, this new generation is tough. They don't like to be told nothing. You know what I mean? So you get on their case and then they leave your shop. You know what I mean? And you get back to the same situation where you're left without help. Sometimes you're so desperate for help, you can't even take breaks, lunch breaks, days off, vacations. You know, I learned a lot being a shop owner. It's not easy.
Oh, it's not for the weak, trust
And
me.
no, it's not easy. And like I said, there's no generation. It's getting worse. They don't like to be told. They don't want to work long hours. They want to work a few hours in your shop and leave and leave you with all the work. And it's been tough, you know what I mean? But that's what I learned pretty much, that it's not easy to be a shop owner.
So in this time, since your license have been, both your establishment license have been revoked, establishment license and barber license, have you been working, cutting hair at all?
No, at all.
I have no further questions.
Any other members? Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Hernandez.
All right.
So were you here for the prior hearing?
Not a year, but 2022, I came to it. Yeah,
So a lot of your citations were again for health and safety.
correct.
And we want to emphasize again that the number one priority and the reason for all the rules and regulations is to preserve public safety. So I'd like to hear you speak a little bit more about that and not just unlicensed activity and other people's actions. I want to hear about your thoughts on health and safety and what you can tell the board about how you will ensure that the public will stay safe if you are granted your license back.
Well, public safety, like I said, it's to try to just keep the board and rules and regulations coordinated to how the board wants them. I know the board keeps changing them. I've seen it. I've been a bar for about 20 years, you know, from when I started. And they change almost every other year. No neck dusters, no this, no that, no neck strips, everything labeled. You know what I mean? It just, the game keeps changing. It keeps moving just like life. So just my thing is keep exercising and keep staying updated with the boards and regulations that you guys apply to try to keep everything that's safe for the public safety, pretty much.
Thank you.
Just a
Go ahead.
Just to piggyback on that, we are looking at extensive photos of violations inside your salon, and they're all pretty fundamental things within our industry of hairs all in the drawers and non-cleaned tools. And so I think that is our biggest concern, is that you didn't address the numerous violations within your establishment. So I'm curious if you were operating as a barber during the time of all these violations alongside the unlicensed people, or if you were just the owner and it's on them, you're saying that
No, I was a barber.
you were.
And I take fully responsibility and fully at fault for that, for not being on these barbers that I had. Cause like I said, that station like that, I could get it within one day. And I know there's barbers out there hearing me that you can clean that station so good. And if you do 10, 15 haircuts, that by the end of the day, that station will look like that.
Between each client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just it was my fault not being on the barbers. Like, you know what? You stop, take a break, clean all that station up.
Yeah, I
Or
understand.
you know what I mean? Or every day or every hour, or whatever you gotta do, that station gotta look like this. Not like that.
For you personally, though, if you were to get your barber's license back, we'd want to make sure that you understand these simple health and safety requirements within your workspace, so that we can feel confident that you understand
Yeah.
those. So, thank you. And if you need images that we're looking at, we'd be happy to share them with you.
I got a booklet.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Any other members have questions? Okay, then we'll move on to closing argument. This is when you can summarize your information, what you've presented, and explain to the board why they should rule in your favor.
Well, I just want to tell the board, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, all we have in life is second chances sometimes, and all we can do is give it a shot. And that's what I'm here for today. And I want to thank all you guys for giving me the shot, and that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Sheddig?
Your Honor, will defer to the board's decision on the petition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that concludes the hearing. Thank you, Mr. Leach.
Yes.
We'll go off the record.
Good afternoon. Is it still morning? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the California State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology Board Meeting. I am Tanya Fairley, your president, industry member, stylist, and salon owner. It's good to see so many faces out here, and especially knowing that you guys are all from school. So welcome. Some of you, this is your first meeting. Thank you for coming. And don't let this be your last. Let this be a foundation and a catalyst for you to stay involved with what's going on and what affects your industry. So personally, from me, myself, I want to say welcome to you. And I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate the effort that it took to get you all here. So thank you to both, I'm going to say Mr. Stansel, because I respect and appreciate you. And I didn't see him. He disappeared somewhere. Is he back there hiding? All right. And your teacher, your school director over there. There he is. Hi. So we're going to go ahead and get our meeting started. We do want to make an announcement that we did have a new board member. Name is Sonar Lomeli, and she is our newest public member. Also, a reminder to the public that we will have open comments. And so you will be allowed to come in and speak on anything that is not on the agenda. It will be regulated, so you don't have an hour to speak. So just be prepared to keep it short and simple. All right. If any of the members have any update that they would like to provide, if not, we can move on. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have an update I'd like to provide. And I'm not speaking for just myself, but something should be said about our board staff. As board members, it's our job, obviously, to create policy. But our policy is implemented by all of our board staff. And without proper implementation by them, we're whistling in the wind up here. We're doing nothing at all. There are now so many positive statistics that we're starting to get from what they're doing, the result of all of their hard work. And by all of their hard work, I mean the entire staff's work. This report, there's a piece of every staff member that works for the board inside this report right here. And it is appreciated. The operation of our board is in good hands with our staff. We're down in DRC appeals pending. We're down in response time for our license questions. We're down in our licensing application response time. We're up in the growing use of our new inspections platform. We're down in sight and find time. We're up in operating surplus with 14 months in reserves. Corporation would kill for that. We're up in pass rates on all license type over last year's this same time. And our public outreach utilizing social media and direct involvements is spectacular. And I'm like a creature of the corporate side, I guess, the profit side, but all of this is done by a very small staff by private corporation standards. We're regulating and supporting more than 650,000 licensees and 53,000 establishment locates. This is a massive job, and it's a job well done by all of our staff. And I just think they need to be recognized for that. All staff.
Add to that, I think Monica is my best friend. Anyone else have anything to add? No? All right. So the next is our Department of Consumer Affairs update, which may include updates on DCA's administrative services, human resources, enforcement, information technology, communications and outreach, legislative, regulatory, or policy matters. Christy, do you have any DCA updates for us?
I do. So I will provide the DCA update today as they are short staff. Their Board and Bureau Relations position is vacant right now, so they have provided me the update. It's about 2.5 pages long, but it's really important, really good, so I'm just going to go through it real quick for you. So first of all, the governor's reorganization plan in January, November, I don't know why I said November. In January, Governor Newsom released his proposed 25-26 state budget, which includes a proposal to split DCA's oversight agency, so the Business and Consumer Services and Housing Agency, into 2 state agencies, the California Housing and Homeless Agency and the Business and Consumer Services Agency. The proposed California Housing and Homelessness Agency will oversee housing and homelessness solutions and safeguard civil rights. The new Business and Consumer Services Agency will be responsible for consumer affairs, licensing, and enforcement. The Department of Consumer Affairs is among the 8 departments that would fall under that new agency. So as part of the process in state government, on April 4th, the governor's reorganization plan was delivered to the nonpartisan Little Hoover Commission for review. The submission of the plan to the commission began at an approximate 90-day formal review process. The commission held public hearings on April 23rd and 24th to receive testimony and for interested parties to provide input on the proposed reorganization. Our agency secretary, our DCA director, Kirchmeier, and other impacted department leaders testified to support the governor's plan and responded to questions from the commissioners. The commission is in the process of writing a report that will be submitted to the governor and the legislature. The commission's report will offer a recommendation to the governor and the legislature as to whether it believes the reorganization plan should go into effect. The commission sometimes offers recommendations for how the plan could be strengthened, or either administrative actions or subsequent legislation. The legislature will then have 60 days to review and consider the reorganization plan. The governor's plan becomes effective on the 61st day after it has been given to the legislature, unless either the Senate or Assembly adopts by majority vote the resolution to reject the plan. If approved, the Business and Consumer Services Agency will be created in July of 2025 with 1-year transition and will become operative in July 1, 2026. In addition to the several virtual briefings hosted by Agency Secretary Moss, there is a detailed information available on the reorganization plan on Business and Consumer Services and Housing Agency website, which if any of you would like to see that website, just feel free to let me know. We believe this is an extraordinary opportunity for DCA to better align with other consumer protection departments. A secretary within the governor's cabinet focused solely on consumer protection will only strengthen our mission, momentum, and delivery to services of California. DCA will continue to keep Board and Bureau leadership updated on the progress of the governor's reorganization plan. I personally, being with DCA for 30 years, think it's a great idea, and I'm really happy that they're focusing solely on consumer protection. Okay, next is our hybrid telework transition. On March 3rd, 2025, Governor Newsom issued an executive order requiring all state agencies and departments to update their hybrid telework policies for employees and increase from 2 to 4 days in the office per week, beginning July 1, 2025. On March 13th, 2025, the California Department of Human Resources issued guidance on implementation of the executive order. The guidance provides defined parameters for when agencies and departments can make case-by-case exceptions to the 4-day in-office minimum requirement. DCA has been working closely with a few programs on identifying additional space needed for this transition. We are one of those agencies. DCA has been hosting biweekly meetings with the Board and Bureau leaderships to provide updates and respond to questions. We recognize that it is a transition that will likely require adjustments for many employees, and we are working together to minimize the impacts. We will, of course, continue to keep leadership updated on any additional directions received from CalHR. I'll provide a little bit more information when it comes to my executive officer report. Next, we have a new compliance and equity officer. On April 28th, Levi Hull began serving as DCA's new compliance and equity officer. In this position, he's responsible for leading and coordinating department-wide quality improvements efforts to ensure consistency with regulatory compliance. This position oversees DCA's solid planning and training services, the Organizational Improvement Office, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Office, and the Internal Audit Office, and serves as a liaison to the department's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Steering Committee. As the department's equity officer, this position is dedicated to enhancing the diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility policies, trainings, and activities throughout the department's programs. Levi brings more than 12 years of experience in leading multidisciplinary teams and driving strategic program development, with more than 9 years of experience in the EEO compliance and program management, including nearly 3 years at DCA. He's an experienced leader with a deep commitment to fostering inclusive, equitable, and accessible work environments. I've worked with Levi, and that's a great position for him, and so congratulations to him. Closing, each year during the first week of May, we celebrate Public Service Recognition Week. I want to close, keep in mind this is a DCA. I'm reading for DCA, not myself. I want to close with a special thank you to the board, your executive officer. She's amazing and wonderful. I want to close with a special thank you to the board, your executive officer, and board staff for your hard work and dedicated efforts to achieve our mission in consumer protection. We are grateful for your partnership and applaud your extraordinary service each and every day. That's it.
Well, thank you for that. And yes, you are awesome. All right, next on the our agenda item is discussion of and possible approval of the February 10th, 2025 board meeting minutes. Item number 6 is the approval of our minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 10th, 2025 board meeting?
I motion to approve the minutes.
With the date.
Oh, all that? Oh, let's flip back. I motion to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2025.
Do you have a second?
This is Board Member Pham. I second the motion.
Is there any public comment on the motion for this item? Monica, please call row.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertrand,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Paulette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Tamika Miller, Danielle Munoz,
Abstain.
Callie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now on to our executive management report. Christy, back to you.
All right. So our first report is our administration and operations report. We are fully staffed in this unit. We do have a new manager, Noel Cassens, who started with the board as our manager over admin and operations. We've listed just an update for members, our staff training, and then we do have a note about our return to office. We will be planning our return to office July 1. Where everybody will come back 4 days a week in the office. We have had to seek additional space in our building because we moved and we downsized, but now we didn't have enough space. So we're lucky enough that we believe we found a suite on our same floor. We won't be in the same suite altogether, but it will be at least on the same floor of our new building. It will be a transition for our staff. I can say that our staff has been very, nobody was happy, obviously, but they've accepted it very well, and they're still continuing, as even Steve mentioned, they're doing a great job with all of our workloads. So kudos to them, and we will be moving forward with hopefully having that happen on July 1 of this year. We've provided the budget on page 2 and 3. We have a healthy budget, so not much to talk about there unless anyone has any questions. On page 4, we have our licensing and exams and disciplinary review committee report. We are fully staffed in our licensing unit. Actually, since we did have one person leave, we have a vacant manager position, but all of our staff positions are full. You can see our examination pass rates. Our emails continue to be very heavy, but we were maintaining them very well. A lot of that has to do with the fact that our workload is so less need for questions. I want to say thank you to James Zimmerman, who's in the back. He's our chief of licensing. And we have Michael Maggot, who is, I think I just said his name wrong. Anyways, Mick is what we call him, who is one of our manager in licensing, who does a phenomenal job at keeping the staff motivated and that workload flowing. So that is our licensing report. Not too much to point out separately than what we normally talk about. Page 7, we start with our exam results. We separate our exam results by educational background and by language. So you can see that we continue to have some concerns in the apprentice program, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we get to that agenda item. And we can move, unless anyone has any questions about specific data, we can move to page 17, which is our survey results. Pretty standard, about 50% of our establishments that have responded state that they do have an independent contractor within their facility. Individual licensees, we have about almost 36% that say they are independent contractors. So it's pretty standard. These numbers don't fluctuate very much for the times that we've been doing this survey, which has been quite some time. Our disciplinary review committee starts on page 20. This, as Mr. Weeks mentioned, we are very current on our DRC. We have our next DRC happening in Sacramento in June. And we have Tamika, Colette, and Steve running that for us. So thank you very much for that. And then we'll be scheduling the next one after that. Okay. I think I forgot it was summer vacation. Sorry about that. We have Southern California that we'll be looking to schedule. Next on page 22 is our enforcement report. It shows we have 20.5 positions with 3 vacancies. Those are filled. Super happy. We have 2 new managers. They haven't started yet. And actually one's in the process of being completed, but hopefully within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will be fully staffed in our enforcement unit, which is huge. So again, on page 23, we show a breakdown of the complaints we've received for the first quarter of this calendar year. 33% of those are health and safety, with 53% of those being unlicensed activity. And then we have our complaint intake on page 24 with complaint and received, the amount of complaints received. We're on task to receive, we usually are around 5,000, a little more than that, and I'm sure we'll get there this fiscal year as well. And then
Christy, I'm sorry, can I
Yes.
stop you? Yeah, I want to go back to the complaints received. Is this an increase over the last quarter from last year of the 53% for unlicensed activity? I was looking for it and I meant to reach out, but I did not.
I don't, I'm not sure, we can find out.
Okay.
And
And then when we say unlicensed activity, are we talking more about the scope of practice? Or are we talking about actual unlicensed barbers and?
It can be unlicensed establishments
Okay.
or unlicensed individuals.
Okay.
Is that right? Addison, correct? Yes.
Okay. Not necessarily working outside of scope?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do find that, but not nearly as much.
Okay.
Any other questions so far? Pausing. Okay. All right, so page 24, again, it talks about our application investigations, files records we've referred to the Attorney General. You can see that our year-to-date for 24-25 is already higher than what our total year in 23-24 and 22-23 for Attorney General. I think it just goes to speak to the work that our enforcement staff is doing. We've also increased our special investigators, and they handle all of our practice of medicine cases as well as anything where there's consumer harm. And those ultimately end up going to the Attorney General's office for formal discipline. So very happy about that we're seeing some more stronger disciplinary action to those who have made some significant violations. Because, this has gone beyond cite and fine, and it's formal discipline.
Last quarter was 46%.
So last quarter was 46%, so it has increased. All right, on page 25, you have your disciplinary outcomes. That's the result of any of our formal disciplines. So you can see the very first line, we had January through March, we had 5 actual license revoked. So when a license gets revoked, that is similar to what we had earlier this morning with the people who have asked for their licenses back. They were at one time counted in that area as being revoked. And then our probation cases, we have a great probation monitor right now who's really been on top of our probation, which we've seen these numbers go down, and that's because he is submitting records to the Attorney General's office for revoking of probation. So people who haven't complied with their probation are being held accountable and potentially would get probation revoked. Is that what you call it? Correct. Yes.
So in that process of the probation revoked, is that an immediate suspension of their license? Like, what is the process for that?
It really depends on what the judge decides, because the majority of those go before an administrative law judge. Most often they're revoked, but they can put them back on probation.
Okay, and then how long is the notification from the probation revoked to the licensee?
I didn't understand the question.
So if the probation is being revoked, how long does it take for the licensee to get that information that their probation has been revoked?
After the administrative law judge makes a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So the administrative law judge has 30 days from the date of the hearing to send us the decision. And then once we get the decision, then we send it to the board for mail vote, and that can take a few weeks. And then the petitioner is sent the decision after your mail vote, and the decision will be effective 30 days from the date that the decision is mailed to them. So it could be a few months.
But they know the process is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they're notified that our probation monitor tells them they know they're not following their probation, and they know we're submitting a petition to revoke their probation. So they know at the beginning of that whole process.
So are they still practicing at that time with the?
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they're on probation. So, you know, they need to have their due process before they are not allowed to work. Yes. Okay.
All right, on page 26 is we have our schools, inspections, and site and fine report. We have 21 positions for our inspections unit. We do have 2 vacancies in there. That is in Alameda and San Bernardino. San Bernardino is where we have 2 vacant inspector positions. Those are currently in the process of hoping to fill them. And then within our citations and fine unit, we have 12 positions, and we actually have no vacancies in this. This one does not exist. We were looking to add a position, but we have not done that yet. So we actually don't have any vacancies in the site and fine unit. Number of schools, I'm sorry, we went into the schools. We have 271 approved schools right now with 17 open cases on those schools. We provide extern information, so that's the number of schools that participate in the extern program and the number of establishments that are associated with those schools. And then we have our inspections and citations statistics. They are down a little bit. We have a couple inspectors that are out on leave right now, so there's been a little bit less. And then we're also implementing the MIP. So that MIP, which is called Mobile Inspection Project, we call it MIP. And that is where our inspectors are going to be using iPads to conduct inspections now, and it goes into our system instantly, and it goes instantly, is it instant?
Yes, for the 10 minutes, yes.
Okay. So we wanted to provide an update on that as well. We have 6 inspectors that are fully using the MIP project, the new platform, and the number of the remaining 11 are being trained right now. Actually, we're training all of them right now. So this was done. We have to do these several weeks in advance because all of our inspectors are in training right now. Is that right?
Yes, unless they're out.
Unless they happen to be out on leave. So it's a new process. So definitely some bumps along the road. Our inspectors that are using it are doing a great job. But we are bringing on how many right now? 8?
11.
11. So 11 are in the process of transitioning. So they're doing a lot of testing, doing a lot of sort of doing their inspections regularly, how they have done it in the past on paper, and then they work in the test environment at home to update it through the MIP process. It's a whole new system. It's going from handwritten inspection report that most of you have seen to complete electronic. So it's definitely a transition, but eventually it's really going to save a lot of time. So here's what we've told, the actual number of inspections that we've done while using MIP. And it really changes the workload at the office as well. So we're still working through all those transitions in the office. Next is our citation data. After that, on page 30 is our request for payment notices and payment plans. On page 31 is our outreach update. We have Monica, who you all know, and Miranda, who's at our office, who do all of our social media. They've done a great job. We did attend Premier Anaheim. It was a great thank you to our board president for attending with us, but it ended up being a really good show. Premier really came through for us this time. We haven't gone in the last couple of years and actually Jamie Schrabeck's in the audience, and I want to thank her for connecting us with the right people. Last time we attended this show, and for those of you who are in the industry, you know, it's a big show. It's growing. Were you there, or was that Sacramento, Tamika? Did you go to? Okay, sorry, I'm getting my shows confused. And so they had us in the hallway a couple of years ago, and we got no one visiting our booth whatsoever because we looked like an information booth. And this year, they not only put us on the show floor, but they built us a table, for lack of better words, almost like a podium in a sense. They did a really, really good job. The person that we were working with was phenomenal, and we were busy. So it was very successful. And then you can see
Just a moment, Chrissy. I just want to say too, that one of the things that was different for me coming in this time was the attention that having the board presence there made. And for licensees, future licensees, you want to attend these type of things because there's so many things coming out in the industry, different tools and different things. And what was so great was we were by a medical device company. It took 2.5 seconds for me to say, for Chrissy to say, no, that's not approved, for somebody to go over to the booth and come back and say, they said that it was okay to use this. So getting the correct information, if you're not sure, is always very important because at the end of the day, it falls back on you as a licensee. So just keep those things in mind. So I just enjoyed being there as a different experience this year.
Yeah.
I was tired and wore out because at first, when I walked in the door, there were so many people here that I wasn't aware that recognized us from the last meeting. And the questions that I were getting was really showing the passion for everybody that is in the industry. So
we will be doing Face and Body in August. That's a show that's usually in Sacramento. This year it's going to be in Santa Clara. It used to be in San Jose. They moved it to Sacramento for a couple years, and now it's going to be in Santa Clara. So it'll be interesting to see. Last time it didn't get a lot of attendance, but hopefully we get some good attendance at that one because that is primarily aesthetics. They used to combine it with manicuring. I'm not sure if they're going to do it this year. I don't think so. So I think it's going to be mostly estheticians at that show.
Just a little ad, I am going to attend the Las Vegas International Aesthetics Conference next month. I've been several times before. I learned so much. It's exhilarating. It's fun to be among my peers. I'm a practicing esthetician. And so I look forward to seeing what's new this year and sharing when I come back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Moving to page 33 is our strategic plan update. I will not go through all of this unless you have any questions. We're only showing the items that we're still working on that are pending. Hopefully we have some better updates at the next meeting on some of these outstanding items. But if you're not seeing it on this report and it was on a report before, it means it's been completed. But it's a lot of pages that we would have to provide. So we're only providing you now with the pending items. And that is the end of my report.
thank you so much for Christy, but you're not done. So we're gonna go ahead and move over to the number 8, discussion of possible action on proposed bills.
That's me too. Okay. I hope everybody was okay with our new format of sharing bills. We sent you links as opposed to printing. A lot of these bills don't all impact barbering and cosmetology. So to print these all out or to even put them on the website, it's so much documentation. So I of course believe that somebody else is always doing something better than we are. And so I've looked at several other boards and found that this was a couple of different boards are doing it in this format. I thought it was really straightforward, so I copied them. And so we're just going to go through some of this. We will need some motions if the board so chooses to take a position on these bills. I do want to say that we did not have any committee meetings in this last quarter. Any committee meetings that we would have had for, say, legislation, we didn't think any of the legislation was significant enough for our board to take that time to do the committee meeting. There's still plenty of time to take our position today, and there's still many times at the legislative session where we could make our position known. So that's why we're seeing all of these for the first time. Next year will probably be different as it's a sunset year, but I thought, this year's pretty straightforward bills. So we will start with A, which is Assembly Bill 485. This is a labor commissioner's office, and it's on unsatisfied judgments. It is a bill that proposes that any state agency issuing licenses or permits must deny new applications or renewals to employers found in violation of unsatisfied judgment provisions for non-payment of wages. Very interesting bill. It does not just impact us, it impacts everyone. It's going to have a significant fiscal impact. We believe this is similar to, most of you might know about our Family Support, Department of Child Support Services. So if somebody owes back child support, there's a behind the scenes technology that links with our database that flags these licenses, and they get a temporary license to start with, and they have an opportunity to fix that with another department. And then we don't know of this stuff. It just gets input into our system with a program, for lack of a better word. So that's how this would be for people who aren't paying correct wages. So on one hand, it's a great bill. However, for us, I believe it's something we should just watch. It's going to obviously involve the Labor Commissioner's office much greater than us, because they're going to have to figure out how to link to the databases. This bill is currently in the Assembly Appropriations. We don't have a hearing date at this time, so it could still not move. I'm not sure where it's really going, and that's why I would recommend a watch position on this bill. At this time, if the board wants to discuss it, if they feel the need to take a motion, you can do that now. But Sabina, for watch, we don't need a motion. So unless any board members want to bring up anything else, I will pause now and ask if you have any questions. Sabina?
Right, so the board is already going to watch bills that may impact you or impact DCA in general. So there's no need for that kind of a motion, just if you want to take a position so that you are in the conversations with the author's office. So don't worry, this is not the last time you hear about all the bills, even if you decide not to take a position.
All right, we will move on to the next bill on the next page, which is AB 504. That is Assemblymember Taw's bill. It was the worker classification bill specifically targeted at manicuring to try to resolve the AB 5 issue with manicurists. This bill is not moving forward at this time. I will tell you why in just a couple minutes when we get to another bill, but we left it on here just in case, but the bill's not moving, and we've confirmed that with the author's office. AB 625 is the next bill. Again, we left this on here. I believe I reported to the board already that this bill is not going to move forward, which is great news. It was impacting our scope of practice. So the author has confirmed that they will not be moving forward with that bill. Our next bill is AB 667. This is a professions and vocations licensing examination interpreters. So this bill, Barbara Cosmo in the department is one of the few boards that really offer the most different languages for our exams. Not only do we offer the exam in 5 different languages, I believe, but we also allow for interpreters. We don't require anybody to pay a fee for an interpreter. There's some interpreter requirements, as you guys know, but we offer anyone who wants an interpreter in their own language, we allow for that. But there's only a couple of us boards who actually do that. So this bill would require all the boards to do that. Yes.
Do we restrict the number of times an interpreter can?
We do. And there's different requirements. You can't work at a school. You can't, there's definitely some requirements. So this bill would not impact us. We already do it. And so we are recommending a support position if the board chose to support it. Otherwise, we would just continue to watch it. Again, it doesn't impact us. We already do it. It did have some other language in the beginning that we were very concerned about, but we've worked with the sponsors of this bill. They are a great group, California Immigrant Policy Center. I meet with them quite often. They do a really good job on really promoting different diversity issues in the examination. But again, it's not going to impact us, so we can continue to just watch. All right, next is AB 742. We saw this bill last year, very similar bill. This is making a priority to applicants who are the descendants of slaves. This bill is in Assembly appropriations, I'm sorry, it's on their, couldn't read my own notes. It's on their suspense file because there is significant fiscal impact on this bill. And this is the one that, is this related to?
It should be related because they have to create that.
So they have to create a whole entity, agency for this to happen. So I recommend we continue to watch it. That is the same position that the board took on this bill last year. And we'll see where it goes. It's a lot of work for other, a new agency basically to be created for them to be able to implement this. So for right now, I recommend we continue to watch it. And that, is this the related bill? Nope. Next is AB 1514. We can ask for public comment at the end of my report. That someone from the audience might have something to say about this. But AB 1514 is a bill that we believe and have been notified formally that will contain some language to exempt manicurist or extend the sunset for the manicurist. I have notified the board that Mr. Jones has been working on this. So at the end of my report, I'm sure he'd be happy to give us an update on that. The bill is not in print yet, but we have been told it's coming. We thought it would be here before the board meeting. We could take a position, but so the bill right now doesn't impact us at all, but hopefully in the future it will for our manicurists. Next is SB 236. This bill does not impact our board, but it does impact our licensees. It is on chemical hair relaxers. This bill would regulate the products used by licensed professionals. So it changes some of the ingredients or puts some limitations on the ingredients in hair relaxers. It's something that we watch. It's something that if passed, we would certainly provide information to our licensees, but it wouldn't be something we would enforce. This bill is currently in the Senate Appropriations and has a hearing probably as we speak. So at the next board meeting, we will let you know the status of that. We recommend watching this bill as well. All right, next is SB 470. This bill extends the Open Meetings Act. As you all know, we used to have all of our meetings in person unless there was a possibility for doing teleconference, but it was very specific. You had to give an address for every place everybody was calling in from, and those places had to be open to the public. We have the opportunity now to have hybrid meetings. So when we're in Sacramento, as long as we have a majority, other people can call in, and then we can have our committee meetings as well in a virtual setting. We do recommend a motion on this. We recommend that you support this bill. It's how we're operating and how we have been really operating since COVID, right? Mm-hmm. And this bill doesn't cause us a fiscal impact. It causes us a fiscal deficit, maybe. We figured about $55,000 annually is what we would have to spend increased from what we spend now. If the bill is not passed. And so we do recommend a motion with a support position on this bill.
I motion to support Senate Bill 470. Oh, Tanya Fairley.
Member Funk, I second.
Are we going to do individual motions on all of these?
I think this might be we only have one more left that we might want a motion on. So yes, I would say, oh, Sabina says we have to. Did we have a second?
Yes.
Okay. We will now have if anybody doesn't have any comments, we'll open it up for public comment on this bill.
Okay, we will now open up to public comments only on Senate bill motion for Senate Bill 470. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. Thank you.
No public comments?
All right, Monica.
Yeah.
Monica will call the roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez.
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Mayfan,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you so much. Our last bill is SB 641. This is on states of emergency waivers and exemptions. This is a bill that would authorize boards within DCA to waive the application of certain provisions of board licensure requirements for licensees and applicants impacted by a declared federal, state, or local emergency. So basically, this is we'll use the LA fires as an example. The governor did an executive order to delay renewal fees for people that was it renewal fees or all fees?
Renewal base.
All that were impacted by the fires. So if they lived within a certain zip code and it came time for your renewal, like the last thing you want to, have to add to somebody is to pay a renewal. But the governor had to do that as an executive order. So this would open that up to allowing states to do it. We did some different things for some different fires, but this is making that authority come into the DCA boards and bureaus. There is a fiscal impact for personnel to handle the initial workload. Hopefully we never have to worry about it and there's never like a disaster like what happened in this area. We do recommend a support position on this bill. It's been fairly minor for us, believe it or not. We've had 8,000 licensees impacted by the fires.
I believe so.
There was around 8,000 people that we ran a report and found people either licensed individually or having an establishment within the zip codes that were identified by the Office of Emergency Services, I believe, for the LA fires. But that doesn't include really people that maybe worked in those areas that we wouldn't be able to track. So we haven't had a lot of people reach out to us for the waiver from the governor's office. We thought we would have more, but they might have a little more on their minds still than renewing that license. So I think it would be, I think it's a great bill. It's definitely something we should help our licensees with.
I have a
There's that.
question, because on the comments under this bill, it says that this bill would allow the board to increase its contact with licensees by requiring an email address.
Yes, I'm sorry, I skipped that part.
So would that be the overall requirement going forward in all licensees or just in this particular case?
I think it's for all licensees. Is that correct, Allison? Do you believe? Yes, we do. The board might want to recommend that those email addresses be kept confidential. That's not clear. Is that right, Allison? I believe. But they just have to. Okay. We wanted to make sure we don't want, a lot of people, companies will get mailing lists, and we wouldn't want to give 630,000 email addresses to someone. They would get upset with us. But yes, it would be requiring, that's a great addition. We would like to do that ourselves, require email addresses. Several other boards have included that in legislation. The way they word it is if you have an email address, you have to provide it, because there are a lot of, especially our licensees, we have a lot of licensees that do not use email. We still get a lot of paper, and we still get a lot of emails submitted by other people that are doing it for them. So if you have it, you should bring it. And yes, this would greatly increase our numbers of emails that people could receive in our listservs.
What's our cost to implement this?
We have a cost listed of 111,000, and that's based on an emergency, right? It's based on if there's an emergency. So really,
We're going beyond this, where all of our licensees would now be required to submit.
it's just an additional. Oh,
Yeah, all of our licensees would be required to do this,
they would be required to provide us with an email.
and we'd have to go back into our system and find emails. So wouldn't that be pretty expensive?
Most of it's done through the renewal process.
And,
So
Over
automatically.
time.
and through briefs, like the majority of them update it themselves.
Yep.
So it's not a workload necessarily for us. Yes. This is beautiful.
So even though this is about being able to offer waivers for people going through crisis, it's going to result in email collection for everyone, which has other benefits. Okay.
Huge benefit.
Yeah.
And I have a question for that. Then will we have to like specify the parameters of the email use for them? No? Okay.
We have so many already. We just don't have all. And I firmly believe there are a very large number of our licensees that do not have an email. They don't want it. They're not doing it. They're not going to renew online. So again, if they don't have it, they don't have it. But it's really, we get at our show, we get tons of people adding to our just interested parties list all the time. So we were happy this was included in that bill. Otherwise, I would have been recommending it through sunset, so that we could reach more of our licensees.
Okay, I move to support Senate Bill 641, the state of emergency waivers and exemptions.
Second.
If we have any public comment, only on Senate Bill 641. No public comment?
Tanya Fairley, Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Paulette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now we're going to open it up to public comment on the entire report. If there's anyone here that has anything that you want to say or pertaining to this report, please do so with a specified amount of time.
That's gonna be the only one who wrote.
Right.
Okay, well,
No,
yeah.
no, yeah, that.
That's your microphone.
Yes, I don't want to be yelled at. Fred Jones, Professional Beauty Federation. I don't really actually have much to add to Christie's report on AB 1514, other than an agreement has been reached in principle with all the relevant parties, including the Labor Committee and the Assembly, which is the primary gatekeeper for all future AB 5 amendments and discussions. I will say there's ongoing litigation on AB 5, and there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of concerns with changing things. So anyway, I think Ms. Underwood did a good job of explaining that that will be the vehicle that moves this year to at least extend the sunset, more than likely enlisting the relevant labor agencies, not this board, and digging a little deeper during that extended sunset period on what the current status is in terms of labor law violations in nail salons. And then obviously, depending on their future report, there'll be a decision on whether the sunset gets extended, removed entirely, or possibly the right of booth rental goes away entirely and forever. So it's just kicking the can down the street for another couple of years.
Thank you, Fred. Anyone else? No? Okay. So next, report on April 14, 2025, Enforcement and Inspections Committee. We're going to ask Danielle Munoz, the Chair of the Enforcement and Inspections Committee, to provide an update.
Great, thank you. Okay, so on April 14th, 2025, the Enforcement and Inspections Committee convened to finish discussing the possible changes to the board's schedule of administrative fines and consider proposed administrative fines that directly impact consumer safety. The committee agreed with the majority of the staff's proposed changes. However, we decided to change the fines for 980.4 and 993 for consistency with other violations. And the committee received feedback during public comment, and many agreed that increasing the fines would be helpful for consumer protection. And staff are preparing to propose regulatory language and will bring it back to the full board at a future meeting for discussion and possible initiation of a rulemaking proposal. So we did change some of the fines, and it will all be put together in a report, and the board will be able to see everything. And I really want to thank the committee members. And because I feel like I'm going to miss people if I name them, but Kelly was there, Tanya, who else was on there? Remind me if you're on the committee. But you're all, like, all of your input was very valuable. Yeah, it was a lot of work. We had to go sort of just fine by fine and make sure that we are keeping the integrity of the practice of Barber Cosmo. And I feel like that was met. Also, like the consumer safety is number one, the integrity of the practice. And then, of course, the committee had a balance of public members and industry members, so all sides were considered. So I feel like these were a very great series of meetings. So you'll all get to see them when they're ready.
Thank you, Jenny.
Which we anticipate to be the next board meeting.
Thank you. Next up, hot topic. Discussion and possible action on apprenticeship to be included in the 2026 Sunset Report. I'm going to turn it over to Christy to provide an update, but I will also say that this is a cause that's everybody knows is really dear and near to my heart. The passion that I have with making some changes with this apprenticeship program so that our licensees who are a part of it have a fair shot and opportunity. But the back work behind this is a lot, and I commend Christy for taking on this task and having me in her ear in the process, so.
All right, thank you. So this is the second time you're seeing this report, and so I was trying to make it a little bit easier to see what's been added. And so in the first several pages, you'll see an addition in red. And so in red is what we have added to this report. I want it to be, we're in our sunset process. We are already started preparing our report. We haven't got the formal request from the legislature yet, but we expect that by the end of June for sure. We are planning to have our first draft of the sunset report to you at our next board meeting. It will be a draft. So that everybody understands, sunset is our opportunity to make changes to our statute. It's our time to go to the legislature and say, this is a problem and this is how we think we should fix it. And we have been talking about the apprenticeship program for many years and the low pass rates. However, the low pass rates, as we've discovered, is just one, honestly, that's the least of the issues, to be honest. And especially as what we have found. We have dedicated a lot of resources to trying to take some action and get a proposal together on the apprenticeship program. So I'm just going to walk through the report again. Again, just for everyone's sake, we share oversight of the apprenticeship programs. We do approve apprenticeship program sponsors. It's a one-time approval that you get. You have to also be approved by the Division of Apprenticeship Standards. The Division of Apprenticeship Standards, as explained on page 2, is a division under the Department of Industrial Relations. The Division of Apprenticeship Standards, as we call them as DAS, is who also approves apprenticeship program sponsors. Program sponsors also have to register their apprenticeships with DAS. And then you have your local education agency, which is your school districts or your, most of them are school districts, I believe. We have a couple actual schools that are serving as LEAs, but most of them are under a specific LEA. There are federal apprenticeship programs as well. There's an approval process for a U.S. Department of Labor and other states that is all they have. In California, you have to be approved by us, which means you have to be approved by the DAS. That's you can also be a federally approved program, but it doesn't have any bearing on our approval. And so now we talk about the issues. The issues, as we have discussed before, tuition and fees. We have found apprentices paying anywhere from $5,000 to over $20,000. Now, keeping in mind, apprenticeship is still 2 years. It is a 2-year program, 3,200 hours. You can go to a regular school for 1,000 hours and pay a lot less money for that. But what is appealing to the apprenticeship program is that you can earn while you learn, is what it should be. Unfortunately, that's not how it's being played out. By all means, not by all program sponsors. We have some program sponsors who we think do a wonderful job. But unfortunately, I would say it is the majority who are not earning to learn. And I'll talk about that in just 1 second. So we have dedicated some of our special investigators into investigating many aspects of the apprenticeship program. In March of 2025, and this is the new information at the bottom of page 3, board staff spoke to 115 apprentices and found 25 apprentices stated that they've paid $2,500 to $2,800. 7 apprentices state they pay $3,000 to $3,500. 2 apprentices state they paid $4,000 to $4,500. 28 apprentices stated they paid $5,000 to $5,900. 19 apprentices are $6,000 to $6,500. 22 apprentices stated $7,000 to $7,500. Now, keeping in mind, this is an earn while you learn. This is not a tuition-based program. The BPPE exists for private schools. They have student protections. They have a student tuition recovery fund. They have protections if a school closed down. They have protections for refunds. The apprenticeship programs offers none of this. So there is no protections for these apprentices. 4 apprentices stated they paid $8,000 to $8,500. 5 apprentices stated they paid $9,000 to $9,500, and 3 stated they paid $10,000. 2 apprentices stated they paid $15,000 for tuition to an apprenticeship program sponsor. This information has been provided to the Division of Apprenticeship Standards and the LEA. No action has been taken to date. Next is our low passage rates. We've talked about this for years. We've reported on this for years. And we don't have a minimum requirement for low passage rates. And so again, this isn't new. We haven't updated this. The apprentice pass rates continue to be low. And again, I want to stress that this is not for all apprenticeship program sponsors. We do have some that are doing a very good job. Next is the training facilities / academies. This is definitely one of my biggest concerns in the program. We have people who are franchising out their approval. It would be as if I opened a salon here in Universal City, which I didn't know was a city till today, and I called my place the same as Tanya's establishment, and I just said, I'm just a franchise of Tanya's, and I'm using her establishment license. That's what is happening. So they are franchising out their approval, and these individual training facilities are operating as their own apprenticeship programs, to the effect that they are contracting with students with a financial contract under their own business name. So it would be me, again, saying I'm under Tanya's establishment license, but you need to pay me, Christy Underwood, for renting a booth in my establishment. This is just, it's unfortunate that this has happened, and they are approved related training facilities, which is absolutely acceptable. The LEAs are responsible for approving related training centers. Most of the related training centers are also licensed establishments. Now, if they were just operating as related training centers, which is 220-ish hours that is required for apprenticeships, that would be totally fine. It would even be fine if they're licensed establishments, many of them. And that's fine as well, that they do their related training in a back room, and then they go and serve consumers and get their on-the-job training. But these people, these entities we have hundreds of copies and documents where they have enrolled students, advertised under a separate business name, and contracted with these individuals where they believe they are paying an establishment that is not who we have as an approved program sponsor. Again,
Let me just ask you a question on that, Christy, because this is the part where it's the frustration of knowing the work that you're putting in with trying to get all the entities together to work this out. What kind of progress is being made with both DAS, with BPPE, when it comes to really closing in the gap on who's responsible to make sure this isn't happening?
I don't believe any progress has been made, but we are continuing to move forward with trying to get progress. I will say that, I shouldn't say that. We have had some progress. We've had some great conversations. Down here, we work with an LEA who has been good to work with, but progress, I mean, we haven't really seen any action. And And I could probably go on for hours and hours about that. But we have not stopped trying. We continue to try. I send a lot of emails with documentations to other entities that we hope are reading them, and we'll take some action. Next is our on-the-job training concerns. We, as any of you who have served on DRC in the past, you know that we regularly have apprentices coming in who are working alone in an establishment. So apprentices are supposed to be getting on-the-job training, and they are supposed to be 100% supervised. We find it every single day, apprentices left alone in establishments to just provide services, and they're not learning and they're not licensed. That's $1,000 fine for an apprentice. And so and I have to say that the apprentices come to us for complaints. It's much like some of the conversations we've had over the years about students in schools. A student who wants to complain about a school is gonna come to the board first because they think that's who they know. So all of these apprentices come to us first. So this is a heavy, heavy workload. And the only fee we get is the $25 apprentice application for an apprentice license. And that's what the apprentice is paying. I mean, that's an easy part. We review the apprentice license to give them their initial apprentice application. So there's no revenue whatsoever to support the work that we are doing. And honestly, it's Addison in the back, who's our enforcement chief. It has been his main life, I will say. He has special investigators under him who are dedicating their time to this. We have 2 to 3 licensing staff who must dedicate their time to this. And then I will tell you, Carrie and I spend multiple hours every single day dealing with this workload. It's just enormous. I have added information on funding. There is still more information to come on this, but this is, I'm sorry.
Oh, can I comment on number 4 on this one? Okay. First of all, thank you so much for all the time. And I just wanted to offer some thoughts about this. I'm more on like the public facing side. Tell me, we might already do this, but do we make contact with high schools or the community? You know how when like people want to work for the state and they're like, come to this thing and learn how to work for the state. I mean, it's like, do you want to be in the barber cosmo industry, learn about apprentice programs, and then at the front end, we can control some of that information. So when they go out to look for those, they're aware. But is there something we can do for the public as they're interested in getting into this field? Can we provide some education to them?
Yes, we have not done that yet. What we are working on is information to go as soon as we issue an apprentice license, because we don't know who they are. I will tell you that a large percentage of apprentices in California are Spanish speaking, and they are being misled into thinking that they have to be in this type of environment. I firmly believe this. And one of the things that we're working on doing is putting together information that goes out with that apprentice license that goes, it's an interesting program because the apprentice license, goes to the establishment, correct?
Yes.
Goes to the establishment. So we need to look at contacting these apprentices when they get licensed from the beginning. And that is something that Addison is working on. And it's what we want to do is tell them right up front, you shouldn't be a booth renter. It's against the law, actually. And the number of booth renters we found of apprentices saying they're booth renters, they are supposed to earn a wage. Apprentices must earn a wage. And we have found apprentices that aren't even getting paid because they think they're in school.
Yeah.
So
is there any correlation you think between that and the low Spanish pass rate?
100%.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
100%.
Wow.
How far away are we from legislation that may do something here?
Sunset review. So it's still a couple of years away still, and that's where we're going. And I'm going to make some recommendations towards the end of this.
Well, I was going to also say to piggyback on Danielle, why are we, okay, because I know that we aren't the direct disciplinary space for the program. But if we're sending that information out if we're going to send information out to the actual apprentice, what about the training? What information what is the like do we have a FAQ that can be sent out? Like, you are a training facility, they should not be booth renting.
Oh, we've done that.
Okay.
We've sent letters out to every single that we could find, and we found most of them on Facebook. We've sent information out to all of these training facilities saying that you're operating as a program sponsor and you're not a program sponsor. And we've brought this up with their LEA, and we've brought this up with the DAS, that these entities are operating as program sponsors. They're not operating as a training facility. And so that is something that we're going to be recommending, depending on what the board approves, to put into sunset, is if we continue with apprenticeship programs, we have to have more authority, because we'll enforce it.
What do you need from the board to help?
I'll tell you.
Oh, great.
Well, I was
Okay.
gonna-
How can I
So
help?
I was just going to say, as you guys know, Yolanda and I think we were the last ones to have our Senate interviews.
Yes.
And
Anthony.
And one of the most interesting things was on my questionnaire, it was, what is my champion? What I want to be known for when I leave here? And I will tell you that talking to that group of individuals who are on the other side, who's watching our Sunset Review very closely, they asked the same question. What do you need to make sure that the board can get more control of the apprenticeship program? Because I don't want to see the apprenticeship program go away. I've said that before, but I also know that there are some strong conditions that should be in place. And we have a lot of programs that are doing it right.
Right.
And we need to showcase those programs that are doing it right. The problem is we have so many more apprentices that are being taken advantage of that we can't even showcase those programs that are doing it right.
Right.
So I said all that to say that even with all the things that are put in place, until we get more control over that program, we're going to be continuing fighting this battle.
Right.
And then there's like firm legislation around apprentice programs? Or do we need to get like
What did you say?
like legislation or
Yeah,
anything?
we're going to be recommending we include legislation in our sunset
Yeah,
review.
because that's the other thing I think of, is get an author and create some strong legislation. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so just a little background on some of the funding aspects for the apprenticeship program. A apprenticeship program sponsor gets reimbursement for their related training hours. And so they can invoice, and I will tell you that not all of them do, but they should, because it is a way to offset the cost of doing an apprenticeship program. So they get a reimbursement from their LEA. So it's basically, it's money from, I just lost, it was like it's not a special fund. It is from voted on in voting. What do you call those when all of us have the choice to vote? Thank you.
Oh,
Proposition. There's a proposition. Thank you. It was not in my head. That increased funding for educational purposes. Some of that funding comes from that. If anybody wants the actual details of that, I do have it at my office. It's a little over my head. And so an apprenticeship program sponsor can report to their LEA, here's the number of my apprentices who completed their 220 hours. They can do it quarterly. Different LEAs have different processes. And you get, for example, $9 an hour for those related trainings. So related trainings around 220 hours. $9 for that 220 hours per apprentice is what they get reimbursed. We just recently came across an LEA that we did not know was even operating in the apprenticeship program, and a program sponsor had invoiced them thousands of dollars for apprentices that did not exist. And the LEA was brand new, not brand new LEA, but to this program, they did not check we assume they did not check, and they've been very cooperative with us. This LEA is wonderful. I think they're going to do a great job in the future, but they didn't know. They didn't, there's apprentices for lots of different industries, and they just assumed it was the same as the other industries, like a construction industry or an engineering or an electrician. And they didn't realize there has to be this license from the board. And there are other agencies that require this as well. So we're not the only licensing entity for apprenticeships. And they paid them thousands of dollars for apprentices who we're not sure if they don't exist or if they just didn't get a license and we're actually going through training that's never going to count. But we're, it was around $20,000 that this individual had been paid out for apprentices who were regularly attending RSI hours. We don't know if these people are real people on this invoice list, and they don't have a license, so we never issued a license. So anything they may have done, which was well over 6 months, doesn't count. If they are real people, it doesn't count. They didn't have a license. We have no idea if they're working out unlicensed, being totally misled. So we just discovered, that's brand new. We just found that out just within the last couple of months. There's also Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA. So that is federal funds that can, an apprenticeship program sponsor can be added to the WIOA funds. It's via Cal Jobs. So if you are an individual who might be interested in changing a career, getting some training, you can go on to Cal Jobs and you can look up training and you can find apprenticeship for barbering and cosmetology. We have proof that apprenticeship program sponsors have put on there that they charge $10,000 tuition. It says it right on the website for anyone to see. $10,000 tuition, $7,500 tuition. And so they have been reimbursed for that federal funds. And it's just not really what the apprenticeship program was intended to be. Again, there shouldn't be a tuition for an apprenticeship program. Apprenticeship program sponsors, by all means, have opportunities to offset the cost of doing their programs. Because obviously there is a cost of doing their programs. And again, the ones who are doing it well have a significant cost. And so there are programs intended to help the program sponsors with this funding and with this cost of doing business. But a $10,000 per apprentice, we have proof that they received that for 33 apprentices. And that particular program has a less than 40% pass rate. Then there's the Apprenticeship Innovation Fund. That is state funds that come issued a little differently than something like the WIOA. It is through the DAS. It is state funds that are issued by way of a grant. We reviewed, again, this is all public information that we pulled from the websites. We showed that one of these programs received over $484,000 in a single year to offset their cost of doing business. And we confirmed that this program is also charging $7,500 tuition. There's no checks and balances on this funding. It's something that we are working on it's taken a lot of us to really wrap our heads around and even begin to understand it. A year ago, we didn't even know that this existed. And so we've just, with the help of mostly Addison and his staff, we've just been digging and digging, and we're finding more and more. There's more funding sources out there that people can apply for. And this is as far as we've gotten so far. So there's no checks and balances. Some programs we believe are receiving WIOA funds, AIF funds, and related training funds, and still charging tuition.
And yet there's no checks.
Don't yell at me.
There is no, like when they become a program sponsor, it's one time, that's it. There's no checking on them. There's no re-up. There's nothing in place. That's going to change, right?
That is correct. And that is for both us and for the DAS. You get approved. There's no renewal process. There's no fee. We approve apprentice program sponsors with no fee. I don't believe they pay a fee to DAS either. He's not looking at me. And that's a problem because it's just, we only have 42 program sponsors. So it's not, if this wasn't happening, we would not have this problem. But it's been happening for a very long time. And the apprentices aren't getting any better. And so no one's protecting these apprentices, in our opinion, and that's the biggest.
That's the problem.
That's the biggest.
That's my problem.
Okay, so next we want to talk about wages and workers' compensation. And when you get approval as an apprenticeship program sponsor with the Division of Apprenticeship Standards, you have apprenticeship standards that you're supposed to follow, and those standards get approved by DAS. In every one of those standards, it states that those apprentices must earn a wage. So keep that in mind. We found in talking to 103 apprentices, 52 of them were booth renters. So they were paying to have their on-the-job training. 27 said they were paid by commission only, which is absolutely not allowed. 17 paid only by the service that they did. So if they give a haircut, that's all they got paid for. And then 7 stated, this is all conversations with our investigators, that they were not paid at all because they were in school. So first of all, they thought they were in school. They are not in school. They're in an apprenticeship program. And they thought they were in school. And then the next area, there's no updates, but I'll just highlight on it again. The overall success of the program is a big concern for our barbers. From 2018 to 2021, only 47 of the individuals that received a barber, or 47% never applied for the examination. So 47% of people who probably paid a tuition never even submitted an application to apply for the exam. So they disappeared. We have no idea where they went. Are they working unlicensed? Are they real? In our Cosmo, 42% that received the cosmetology apprentice license never ended up applying for the exam. Again, what happened to them? Did they finally just give up? We have a lot of people that just give up because they've paid money. Yes.
Well, is it kind of like where if they think they're in school and they get like a certificate, they think, oh, great, because they don't really know they have to apply to take a license?
Haven't seen that.
Okay.
It could be because we don't know who these, we don't know where they've been. We don't know if maybe they gave up and chose a different career, which is unfortunate. It could have been their calling. So we just don't know, but we know they didn't ever apply to take the exam.
Has any industry ever opted out of apprenticeship?
There's a lot of industries that don't have apprenticeship at all. It goes back to being very traditional. It started in, to be honest, I believe it started in railroads. And it's grown into, there's a lot of construction trades that use apprentices. And one of the big differences is a huge construction company that is hiring apprentices and connecting them with their journeyman workers. They want to hire those apprentices to be their future employees. And as we all know, that's not really how this industry works. We have some, by all means, we have chain salons who have done apprentices. We have employee-based salons that do apprentices. But the majority are booth rentals, are independent contractors in this industry. So these apprentices, the establishment owners aren't hiring apprentices to make them their future employees. They're hiring them for many different reasons, but unfortunately, they're getting paid a booth rental fee in what we've found in this investigation. They're not going to ever make them their employees. So it makes it a different beast than what some of the traditional apprenticeship programs do.
But I also think that we have to take into consideration, this is not your typical industry
Absolutely.
either. So by it not being your typical industry, the programs that are doing it right are training them to run their own business, right? So you got to kind of take that into perspective when you're talking about this type of industry, the service industry, when it comes to beauty, because you're going to find more independent booth renting salons versus your traditional, employee employer. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there because although Chrissy's saying is correct, we don't start out that way. We don't start out thinking to go work for someone. We start out thinking, I want to build this to have my own and go on. So,
Which is the beauty of this industry. You can do both. You can start your own business. You know, you can go rent a solo suite or, there's so many opportunities for this industry that is different than I think a lot of other industries. So now we get to our discussion standpoint. And again, I will be honest that it's been hard. This reviewing this and finding what we found has been very difficult. Talking to the apprentices, one of our employees who handled the apprenticeship program for several years with us left our board and went somewhere else because it was basically breaking her heart, to be honest. And it is very heartbreaking. So it's been very stressful for our staff to hear these apprentices' stories. And so you'll see that here's the questions that I posed to the board. And the first question is, should the apprenticeship be maintained as a pathway to licensure? My honest opinion is no. It doesn't work. It's not been working, but obviously it could. We do have programs that are doing a great job. And I think I might have said this at our last board meeting a year ago when we were really starting to do a deep dive. Addison and myself and Carrie, who talk about this on a daily basis, had said the apprenticeship program has to go away. Then we attended some of their committee meetings, and we were very impressed by a couple of programs who really care about their apprentices and are really trying to do a great job. And it changed our minds a little. It probably changed their minds more than me, because there's just so much fraud and taking advantage of these individuals. However, we can make some changes. We can make some recommendations in Sunset. This is our golden opportunity to put whatever we want into Sunset to say that we could make this program better if you let us do X, Y, and Z. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What is the advantage of the apprenticeship Earn While You Learn program when the pass rates are so low? Tuition is high. Booth rental is often the only option, and it is more than double the amount of time an individual would spend in traditional school. And then the third option, the discussion topic is, should the board pursue legislative changes that will allow oversight and stricter requirements for the apprenticeship program, as well as funding to support the extensive amount of work required by our staff? Now, before we open it up, I want to just go have recommended so far. This changes every day because we have new stuff happening every day. Like I said, we just found this new LEA who was paying a program sponsor that we didn't even know existed. So everything it changes, but I want to make it, here's what I would recommend, my staff would recommend, things that we need to put in Sunset should the board choose. Yes, we want to keep the apprenticeship program and make it better, or we want to recommend to the legislature that this isn't working for us. We want to eliminate the apprenticeship program, because that's ultimately what the board has to decide. And so first, we're going to make it clear that an apprentice must be employed by a licensed establishment and earning an hourly wage. Now, that's in the law already, but what I'm saying is we want it in our law, because then that gives us clear authority to take action against it. Next, we would be amended the conduct of the apprentice training program. We are recommending that we put clearly in statute that you cannot charge a fee. Now, you can charge for books. You can charge, many of programs require a uniform. Those types of fees are fine, but that's not $10,000, right? So you can't charge a tuition. If you're charging tuition, you're a school. An approved program sponsor shall not franchise, shall not sponsor or loan out their approval. An approved program shall verify that the establishment where the on-the-job training is being completed maintains workers' compensation insurance, provides all services that are within the scope of practice. That's another issue we've come up with. We have apprenticeships. We found apprentices in nail salons, only doing nails. We don't even have a manicuring apprenticeship program. We only have cosmetology. Now, there's an aspect of manicuring, of course, but how could you do 3,200 hours of on-the-job training in 2 years where you don't offer hair services? So again, it's already in the law, but we're making it clear. Yes.
Would we be able to specify that no fees at all could be collected from the apprentices to make the onus on the sponsor to provide the books and maybe make it less enticing to take advantage?
I don't think we should. I think they should. I mean, I think it's reasonable that a apprentice going in, that's common for other trades as well. If you're going into construction, you bring your tools. So I do think they need a kit and they need their textbooks. And I think that's completely reasonable to expect the apprentice to pay that.
Except the fact that they are able to get so much federal funding support that maybe that could be then something they're responsible for providing. Just an idea. No? So sorry, federal funding?
Right. It is. And then you know, like I mentioned, I met with a great program down here in this area, and they have a facility. They don't franchise out their approval. So they do all their own related training. They work very close with their LEA. They have a building. They have classrooms for their related training. They have an administration office that handles like the sort of the principal type process for apprentices. So there's costs involved in an apprentice. So I think it's reasonable that they have to pay these fees. They just shouldn't be able to pay tuition.
Chrissy, what's the definition of hourly wage?
It is set in their standards, actually. The DAS chief, if I'm correct, I'm not sure if Addison remembers, but I believe the DAS chief has the authority to set the wage. I don't know what the actual wage, do you believe that's right, Addison? So it is minimum wage right now. They have the authority to raise that or, you know, hire.
What's minimum wage? States?
The state.
Cities?
The state.
I think it's whatever's the highest.
Whatever's the highest between state or city?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so again, a lot of this is in laws and labor code and education code, but we want it in our code so that we can clearly enforce it, and not only clearly enforce it, but also clearly make sure people understand it. Because there's that aspect as well, that we want to make sure that if a new program sponsor comes on, we want to make sure we are telling them what you need to do. And approve, so the establishment, let's see, they shall not enter into a financial contract. There should not be a financial contract between an apprentice and an apprentice program sponsor. That's not the intent of the apprenticeship program. You, by all means, you can charge your monetary fees for your textbooks and your uniforms and your kits, but that's not entering into a tuition contract. Now you've become a school. The conduct of apprenticeship training, again, we're sort of and this is our draft. This is, so in thinking of when I'm talking about this, I want you to think about the intent of this. It would possibly be changed through the legislative process to be clearer or put somewhere else, but this is the intent of what we're trying to do. So basically saying that, again, that they must earn an hourly wage and they shall not rent a station within an establishment. You cannot pay for your on-the-job training. Next, we're talking about the approval of a program sponsor. We want to charge a fee for the approval, and we want them to have to renew. So this is just clarifying this whole next, number 3, this whole next section is that it's very similar to what we already have in regulation. We're recommending we move it into statute just to give it more power. And we are recommending that we are able to charge a fee and that they must renew. Next, we want to clarify the board's process to take disciplinary action against a program sponsor. It's been rough. We do have a mechanism to take action. We are in the process of doing that with multiple entities at this time because as you guys know, some of you are going to be on our committee. It's a different type of a process because we do not license program sponsors. We just issue an approval. So it's not like our licensees where we submit an accusation to the department, to the deputy attorney generals who handle us and it goes before an administrative law judge. We don't have that process and it really should. That's a formalized process that all of our boards use. So once we can make it more of a license that we're issuing and give us the authority to take discipline, then we would be able to go through our regular disciplinary process with the Attorney General's office, which I think would be the best way. Our next number 5, we want to say that the apprenticeship agreement, which is something that DAS requires an apprenticeship agreement between the apprentice and the program sponsor be attached to their apprentice license. It's just a little more enforcement that the apprentice has seen that apprentice agreement. So that's just a little added information there. And then again, it just talks about completing the apprenticeship agreement. So that is where we are today. I would ask the board to discuss, do we keep the apprenticeship program? And of course, it's not real, it's our recommendation to the legislature, or do we not keep the apprenticeship program? That's first and foremost. I know you might have some public input on this as well, which I certainly encourage you to take. And if we keep it, I highly recommend you ask us to place this in our sunset report. With anything additional, we have till the end of the year to do our sunset report. So you might think of stuff even more so. Maybe we have a task force meetings where we bring in the program sponsors and hash it out. And that is totally fine as well. But I think we've proven to the board today that something has to change.
Well, I will take the lead on this and say that, I mean, I absolutely believe, and I wouldn't believe in it if I didn't experience it myself. I have apprentices, as you guys know, I've said this over the years. I bring in apprentices all the time. The program that refers the apprentices to me or that find me is doing it right. And so I don't think that it would be advantageous to punish the whole program because we have a group of people who have not been held accountable for the process to begin with. I do believe that we need to take ownership and take control of the program so that it can continue to be beneficial. I also believe that, I'm sorry, can you guys please be quiet? Thank you. I also believe that if we say just give up, then we have just put a group of people who can really only afford this type of training at risk of not being able to do it the right way. Again, there's a lot more programs that are doing it right than wrong. The problem is there's a lot more people doing it wrong that is out there, and the severity of what they're doing, it's costing a lot of money and it's putting our public at risk. And if we want to, as we advocate for being public safety, then we have to find how we can get that control to make sure that the public is being cared for. So I will say that I'm definitely for, and hey, I've volunteered. I'm like, listen, task force, that's my jam. Like I've committed myself to this process. I told Christy, you got 4 years. We got to get it right in this next 4 years, because again, not only do I benefit as a industry member, but being on the other side. And I think that it is definitely in a program that is valuable, but we have seen so much exploiting of the industry that if we don't do something and make some changes while we have the sunset, then shame on us.
And I appreciate, President Fairley, your perspective on this program. I think you having one really helps us see what it can be when it's done right. And I do feel like we should keep it. I think there's some promise in it. I don't think we should just get rid of it. I do see the need for some like stronger legislation, some awareness, which you've done a really great job like laying this all out. This is so fantastic. And I think you were mentioning too about the questionnaire, like we all have something that we champion on this board and I went through Senate confirmation to be here and the low pass rate for Spanish speakers is something that I really am passionate about and want to see improve. And I think that getting to the root of the issue is somewhere right here. I think if we can fix this, we're also addressing public safety and education to our new prospective licensees, pass rates. So I think it will do a lot of good as well. I really like this. And then one thing I want to comment on is providing clear recourse for students who've been affected. And where do they go and what kind of support and compensation or what's the recourse for the victims?
Does staff feel that this animal can never be totally contained? Because, I mean, you're fighting a big battle out there and taking huge amounts of staff time.
We do. We didn't. Like I mentioned, we did not for a long time. But when we started talking to the programs that we saw the passion and the caring, and the programs that do have good pass rates, it's just that some of the programs that are so bad have higher apprentices. They take on too many, and that of course skews the pass rates, right? So if we could pull out the ones we know are good, I think you'd see a difference. In talking, I wanted to make a comment real quick about the Spanish pass rates. There's not even a requirement that they teach in Spanish or that they approve. If you're a school, you have to be approved by the BPPE to teach in Spanish, and there's nothing like that for the apprentices. So we don't even know what they're doing. Maybe they are teaching in Spanish, we don't know. Maybe they don't have the Spanish textbook that the test is based on. So there's that aspect as well. So I do think if we can get some strong legislation, which I think we can, I mean, I think we've proven our point. As you know, who have been through Senate confirmation, I think you were all asked. So there's a lot of people looking to improve this program because apprenticeships in the United States are huge right now. And even on the prior Trump administration, the president was very supportive of apprenticeships. So we do think that support for apprenticeships will continue. And there are other states. I've been contacted by so many other executive officers in Barbering and Cosmetology who have said, hey, we're thinking about starting an apprenticeship, allowing apprenticeship. What do you think? And I can't give them anything great to say. But there's got to be a way to do it right. And when I started at the board, Karen said it's been many, many years, we didn't have this problem. We did not have this problem.
Well, Chrissy, I was going to say, in with that you said you didn't have this problem. Do you think that somewhere in between when the apprenticeship program started and where it is now, there was not enough interest to keep this mountain from growing into this big old explosion? Like a task force, like how come a task force was never?
Oh, it was. There's been, in my time alone at the board, there's been, even before when I just was working for the board, but not in my current position, there were task forces for apprenticeships and there were recommendations made. It's just been so out of our hands until we really just put a lot of stuff aside and dug into this research about finding this. And there's loopholes, and DAS, they don't have inspectors. They don't, they have some authority for sure, but they don't have, I mean, I think it's a very tiny department.
Let me say this about DAS. I'm going to share this because I think that it's important that you guys understand the lack of communication. On March the 12th, I sent an email to DAS inquiring about the apprenticeship program, some of the rumors that were out there, and to get more information. I removed my President Tanya Fairley. I did all these things to make sure that I was responded to as a person of interest. I got a response back on May 12th. So from March 19th to May 12th was the email response that I received back. And there was no personalization to the email. It was just basically how to apply for the apprenticeship program if I wanted to be a school, and then directing me back to the website. So when I say that there's a lack of interest and a lack of chain of command in this program, and why it's important that we gain some more control and clarity, just something that simple. We've been told that they're not opening up any new apprenticeship programs, but yet when we call there or when we talk to someone, oh yeah, we are, this is just the process. So there's not even clarity on the process.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I'm more seeing this like, because they're not our licensees yet, I'm seeing this like a consumer protection. Like these people are getting swindled essentially.
Mhm.
So in that way, like the buy-in from another group that could help us would be someone who's interested in protecting the public from being misled and losing thousands of dollars. So who's that? And can we get them on our side as well?
We're trying.
Yeah, yeah, which I appreciate you laying all this out. This is very important. Thank you.
And I do think we could make it a really good program. We definitely need the authority. We need it spelled out. We need to restructure it. We need to sit down with the sponsors who are good and get their input on it. And so I'm happy to set up a task force meeting and really hammer it out. Because something I've always said as executive officer, I'm not an industry person. So you don't want me making rules about cosmetology, right? But
We appreciate that though. And we appreciate your honesty with that, because yes, no.
Right? So we put together these recommendations based on what we are seeing on a daily basis. I'm not saying that it's an end all, and I'm not saying it's the best way, but I definitely, and there may be a better way, and people out there might have more recommendations to make it better that we should listen to. So I think a task force would be great. We could do that. And I do think we could make it a great program. I do think we need, we talked earlier about our budget, that we have a strong budget, but our budget is our licensee fees. And should our licensing fees, all of our licensees, be ultimately paying for this amount of fraud in the industry? They should not. And maybe, stronger requirements for some of these program sponsors might hold them more accountable to us for making sure. I mean, when we found out, this was recent, I've been with the board for 20 years, and we just learned that these apprentices are paying booth rental fees. We were mortified. So,
It's sorry to cut you off. It's things like that that should be automatically, like there should be, we find out they're paying booth rental fees, that program should be disciplined, suspended. Something should take place at that moment because it's a clear violation of what the entire program stands for. And guess what? You got to go back to BPP or go to DAS or go to your LEA. Like there's too many people, too many hands in the pot to get rid of the bad programs and let the good programs flourish, and let the good programs be an example of how the program should be to begin with.
Right.
So.
And I will tell you that in the conversations, I think Addison would back me up on this, that they have had a lot of conversations with these apprentices. And, every industry is going to have people that break the rules and break the laws and harm consumers. And you try to we all have that, right? We've all seen the people who don't really care about consumer protection, right? Mm-hmm. These apprentices that we're talking to are not those people. They are people that have been taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm. All of this is going to be acted out at Sunset Report.
If the board agrees, we will add this all to our Sunset Report as a new issue.
My only question on that, if we're going to, it's a major issue. It's a major fight we're going to have on this to get this through. We're also proposing that we're going to have oversight of the schools, which would be a sunset fight. Are we throwing too much into this?
Well, we can talk about that in the next agenda item.
What's the lead in?
And keep in mind that you'll see the Sunset Report twice. A lot of the Sunset Report is data. We have to report on data for the last 5 years. So a lot of it's data. I want all of you to take a look at this person right now because she's probably going to look different in the next couple meetings because she is our data person. So we feel for her.
It is my happy place.
It is. And so keeping in mind that you're going to have 2 more takes at Sunset. This is what we want you guys to decide to give us direction to go. And then you're going to actually see it in Sunset twice before it actually gets submitted.
For
Well,
this, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, just for this agenda item, are you looking for a motion before we go to the next one? Just so I know.
I don't know. I'm feeling that people want to maintain the apprenticeship program, but make it better.
Absolutely. And I was just gonna say, like, I appreciate the work and the effort that's put into it. And even like I told the senators when I was having my Senate review, because there were some things that were said and I was very passionate about my stand on the program. And I said, how can you give up on something when you haven't fully put in the work to resolve it? And I'm gonna stand there and I'm gonna stand on that because the task force is needed. We know that, right? We know that there's going to be expenses to that. Something's got to give because this is an integral part of our industry. And I know, Steve, I could feel all of this over here with when it comes to the financial part. But that can't be the decision on why we continue or discontinue with this program.
Absolutely.
I will not, yeah. So with that being said, does anybody else have any?
I would just add that I think if we're going to propose legislative change, now is the time to do it, especially with this administration, speaking specifically to the state. There is a passion right now for apprenticeship programs. There's a desire to protect not only the industry, but the apprentices themselves. So
100%.
I think if we're going to make these changes, now's the time to do it.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we're going to get the level of pushback.
I think so too.
I think this is the time to do it.
I just want to add, I'd love to be a part of the task force with it. So definitely throw me in there.
I agree with President Fairley's comments. I do think that we have to give it another try before there's already too many people who are invested, and I wouldn't want them to be left out in the cold if we just took the program away. Just 2 little notes, if this is the draft that we're working from, just 2 little edits. Page 10, under section 3, that first paragraph, 733.1A. I think the board may issue an approval to operate an apprentices program, a joint, is there a 2 that should be there? Sorry.
Oh, okay, we'll check that. Did you get that?
Oh, sorry. These are just little tiny edits, just in case. I don't know if we continue working from this language. That first paragraph, I think that just first sentence, I think there might be an apprentices program and then a joint apprenticeship community. I think there's a word missing there.
Yes, you're right.
Okay, and then for section 5, under page 11, I think it says to require a COPE, so should that be copy?
I'm sorry, where are you talking?
Page 11, section 5,
Oh.
amend to.
I was probably trying to cope.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the work that went into this. I cannot even imagine.
Well, I will tell you, 14 people looked at this and didn't catch that, so.
Okay, so
I don't think we need a motion, but I would open it up to public comment.
So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open this particular agenda item up to public comments. If you have any comments, yes.
And please remember, I said not all programs.
Please use your microphone and then please tell us your name, where you're from, and then go ahead and proceed.
My name is Timothy Stansell. I'm from Rancho Cucamonga, California. 31 years barbershop owner, and also the president of the apprenticeship program in San Bernardino County.
My name is Dwayne Anthony Houston II. I went through his apprenticeship program. I'm now a barbershop owner of 8 years. I officially franchised back in 2021 and opened up my second location only after 3 years of being in business. I was technically my third time scaling. I'm college educated. I played football. Would have been playing in the NFL if I could have stayed healthy. At least I like to think so. And I'm a person of ambition. I'm a person of rules, right? I believe that in order to move something efficiently forward, everyone has to have a cohesive kind of movement, right? And I believe in this program.
I want to say thank you to Tanya for advocating so dearly for the program, and thank you guys for understanding the ones that are in the program. Never knew Christy Underwood, but I've heard her name a lot in the industry. And you had so many points that you guys talked about. That's pretty much true. You know, I myself is disappointed when I hear the prices of these apprenticeship programs. I think you might have been talking about our program when you talked about some have offices, training facilities, et cetera, et cetera. I work with John Carranza, the principal, and Dr. Washington. And we run a very solid program. I've probably put well over 100 men and women through our program. I am an apprentice barber. I've been through the program. I trained tons of barbers in school, out of the school, a lot of classrooms, et cetera, et cetera. There was just so many things that was said that I agree with. I would love to be part of the task force. I've been standing behind the chair for 38 years. I love cutting hair. I'm a barber, but I'm also an advocate for righteousness. And so being part of a task force, that's part of my philanthropy work. I would love to help with that in so many ways that it needs to be assisted. There's a lot of people out here that need jobs. The administration today, yes, they are putting money behind apprenticeship programs because everybody's not going to college. Everybody's not going to school. And so all these young people, and I mean tons of young people that I mentor that are looking for ways out or things to do. I advocate for the barber program. One of my big sales was, hey, I can get you your license in 6 weeks. I can get you trained. I can get you this. Because it was that way, it was our program. Yeah, there are trainers that are not doing certain things, and there are shops that are not, we don't have a task force to babysit us, I would say. But to make this quick, I know we have minimum time, to get rid of the program would be such a disgrace to all the young people in the hair industry, because I'm a salon owner. We do have apprentices at times. We have anybody that wants to be in the hair industry, I get a phone call in that community. So in saying all that, I just believe that how do we be a part of those meetings when they have the come to meeting with suggestions that can be made about what we can do better? How do we find out who's doing what? What can be done? What is the punishment for that? You know, sometimes the punishment has to be great in order for you not to do it again. So what is that? And I'm willing to help out with that. And I'll let Dwayne speak on a few things that he experienced in it.
Right. Well, I wish I had the floor to implement some like changes, because I've been definitely like jogging my brain and taking down notes and stuff. So whenever that reform meeting happens, I would love to be on board and help us onboard some real solutions to this. I will say this, in my short time or long time, however you want to quantify that, being a shop owner, all of my successful barbers have come through apprenticeship program.
Yes.
Every single one.
Nice to
Every single one, without exception. I've hired 3 barbers that came straight out of barber school, and they were the worst employees I've had. And no shade to anyone who's, owns a school or anything. But I think where we have to be pragmatic with our approach here on education is that these people are typically not linguistic learners, right? So I would assume most of you guys on the panel are linguistic learners, right? And we have to make sure that we change or modify the education to be conducive to the talent in the industry, right? So we're talking about people that are visual and mechanical learners, right? So we should still have a practical, right? We should not have a linguistic test. We should not, because although you might know it in a literary sense, it's hard to take that off of paper and then apply it in real time, right? We are here to protect the public, so we need to make sure that we can execute the public service physically, because this is a physical industry.
One more minute.
Okay. and I don't want to take up too much time. You know, I do appreciate your guys' diligence on this. I didn't know what to expect coming in, and I was really pleased to see how much thought has gone into it. So it's wonderful. It's refreshing to know that there's a real effort that's being put in, right? We can work with that, right? Once again, I just plead that you listen to people like Tim. I came from a failed apprenticeship program before I got enrolled in his. I was out in Downey, and I lost all of my time in accreditation, and I had to start over again. And the funny thing was I was in the process of opening up my own business already. When I got on with him, he said, well, I'll get you licensed in 6 weeks. He
Just
did.
10 more seconds for you.
Wonderful. So once again, I don't want to drag it on too long. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that we can all revisit this again soon.
Thank you guys very much.
Do we have any more public comments? No? Well, I will personally say oh, come on up. Yes, on this topic, on the apprenticeship topic.
Hi, my name is Sherlina Allen. I am a celebrity hairstylist. I'm a hair care specialist. I've been in the business, I've been licensed since I was 18. I had a salon in Beverly Hills as a child. I've watched all kind of unsanitary things, but this apprenticeship program is necessary. And if it's not necessary, then how do you expect a stylist, a student turned stylist, turned salon owner to know what to do with their facility or their brick and mortar and sanitation if they didn't have extra hands-on training? And if you take practical out, practical is going in my bathroom or my salon and sweeping up that hair off the floor. I've had to clean up after my stylist in Beverly Hills, like they didn't have no respect, so I had to go behind them and make sure that when Brandy walked in or Vivica walked in, that my place is clean, that I kept it up to standard. So if you take practical away, apprenticeship programs away, which is extended education, they're not gonna get that. You only get so much in beauty college. I flew myself around the world and educated myself. My walls are filled with certificates. And I encourage that, and I place them up so they can see that, so that they can be encouraged to do the same. It's extended education that's needed. So don't take that away. And practical, when I went to beauty college and I was still in high school, because I went to the Scrap program, so I was ready. I acquired 600 hours in high school, went to John Perry and got the rest of my 1,000 hours, right?
You have 1 minute.
Okay. I just feel like it's necessary because if I didn't take my money that I made, that I've been making since I was 13, helping my mom pay her bills to further educate myself because I didn't make any money in beauty college, I wouldn't know what I know. I wouldn't know as much as I know if I didn't extend my education. And if the board is not gonna open up programs to extend education, then you can't put people on trial like you did today, intimidating a lady who has no knowledge of how to keep her place clean and clean up. She's in distress. She's stressed out from family matters, and economically she's stressed out. And then you had another guy who mine is right, who started his own business aside from hair. And then he's intimidated by you all. And then you're lacking programs. And then the board steps away for a minute. We didn't have a board one season, we'd have a board, then we got a board, then we didn't have a president, then you guys have been up and down fluctuating as well, so who's gonna put you on trial? Okay, thank you. And braiders need a license. Talk on that next. I was a braider first at 11, and I asked my mom to take me to beauty college because I want to get a license to braid hair, Mom.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, appreciate your input and your knowledge. Are we done with public comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, we are back to Christy.
Okay, I promise the rest of the agenda is not going to be as long as that. That was a doozy. All right, we will move to, where are we?
11.
Number 11. Okay, so in staying on the theme of sunset and what we want to put in our report, we want to talk a little bit about school oversight. Now, we've talked about school oversight for years and years and years and years. And the board has made recommendations in past sunset review to have sole oversight of schools. That's how it was prior to the establishment of the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary several years back. We had a sole oversight. We have, in my time, we've gone to the legislature at least in 2 sunset reviews. Sunset reviews are every 4 to 5 years, asking for sole oversight, and we have never been successful. I do not personally think we would be successful today. So it does come down to another avenue, is that we approve schools. They don't have to renew. They and we work with the BPPE, that their laws don't match our laws. And then we looked at some other boards and found out that other boards don't have anything to do with education. And so there's some options that we should talk about. And I'm put that in here on page 2 of this memo, because it is up to the board on what they would want us to work on to put into the sunset review. We need to put something. It is a unresolved issue from the last sunset review. And so we could request sole oversight again. I personally don't recommend it. I don't think it will happen. 2, we could request all oversight be handled by BPPE. I personally think that's the way we should go, but that's just my own personal opinion. There will always be an aspect of schools that the board will be responsible for. We're responsible for the health and safety on clinic floors. So we do inspections on the clinic floors. Clinic floors are where a consumer can go in and get services from students. However, we don't issue citations to them, because you don't issue a citation to a student who's made a mistake during a learning environment, right? So, but we've gone into schools before where there's been no disinfectant available at all. So that we're gonna fine the school owner for that. You have to provide your students with the proper equipment to be in a learning environment. So there's always going to be an aspect of inspections for health and safety, because consumers can go to school and receive services. Or we just request proper funding. Again, we do not charge a fee for school approvals. They do not have to renew. And it's a workload. We have an analyst that's what she does 100% of her time is she's our school analyst. And schools don't have to renew. They don't have to pay an application fee. It's an extensive review of an application. So depending on what the board chooses, we will move in that direction for sunset review.
Is this something that we would need to, you feel like we need to have this discussed and decided on today, or can we put this on our?
We could do it at the next meeting. I
meeting.
could come up with some additional recommendations for language. And
The reason why I'm asking is because I feel like this is a part of that in-depth decision that we're adding on for the apprenticeship program. That's just my question. So, I mean, if you guys want to discuss it.
We have plenty of time to do that.
Okay.
It looks like everybody agrees. All right, we'll move on then. Okay, you can open it up for public comment.
And on that note, we will open it up to public comment. You have 3 minutes, and come on up.
I need 3. I'll take 3. Since you're speaking on schools. Sit down and take the president microphone. You're right. Bottom right. Should I introduce myself? My name is Ken Williams. I am a school owner. I'm also a salon owner. And I'm also a former board member. I don't think you know that already. But if you talk about school oversight, absolutely, this board should be taking over school oversight. Absolutely. Why would you not? You're the board. And you should have sole possession, because BPPE doesn't know anything about beauty schools. And so I would much prefer to see you, other than BPPE, not that I have anything against BPPE, but we're the only state that has 2 oversights. Other states don't have 2 oversights, but I'm really here just to offer some suggestions to this board, because I've been in this business 40 years, and I should know about schools. And I saw that this meeting was absent of any, it seemed like the apprentices have issues, but the schools don't have such bad issues. I know mine doesn't. I mean, you know, I went through the pandemic, and I went through an issue where my school was asked to close, and I refused to close. So that might have gotten me in hot water with some people, the state. But my school's been in business 96 years. If I live 4 more years, it'll go 100. And I think we're the oldest school. I don't think there's another school in the state that was originated in 1929 by my grandmother.
One more minute.
My grandmother wanted to go to beauty school, and she was denied access at the time. I know that may be not meaningful to anybody except me. But when you have a school, and hi, Christy, I know Christy very well. When you're a school owner like me, you try and protect this industry. And that's why when I got a call from Arnold Schwarzenegger, the then governor, and said, hey, I want you to be on this board, I took him off. I took him on his offer. It was the second time I had been appointed. I got appointed
15
from
seconds.
the senator, and then they found out I was a licensee, so I was not qualified at that time. Well, I have some suggestions I'd like to submit up to this board. I'll hand them right here. And I hope to see these on the next board agenda, because they come from a 40-year-old veteran of this field.
That's 3 minutes.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Fred Jones again, Professional Beauty Federation. I think you should continue taking a principled stand that you want sole oversight. That doesn't prevent a conversation with staff during sunset review, but I think your first position should remain have sole oversight for the reasons Ken had said and other reasons. And if they don't give that, then maybe you ought to take some of BPPE's licensing fees, which are substantial. Since they don't do jack diddly squat to go after our bad schools, and they just give our good schools a headache with desk audits every year. So maybe that will free up some substantive conversations with policymakers if you start asking for BPPE licensing fees. The reason why they're not giving sole oversight is that 1/3 of the BPPE licensed schools are your schools. 1/3. Now, our schools are small compared to all these other vocational schools and these big multinational corporate schools in terms of tuition, in terms of number of enrollees, but we're numerous. There's a lot of little beauty colleges, and they don't want to give up those licensing fees, which, like I said, are tens of thousands of dollars every year. So go after their licensing fees if they won't give you sole oversight. Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. When it says the board has requested sole oversight since 2012 and has not been successful, who is denying?
The legislature.
Just as they're voting against it. It's not just one person.
It's been in part of our sunset review, and it has not made it into any legislation. It's the legislature who would need to do that.
Do we feel like the BPPE is influencing them somehow? Okay, just curious.
Do we have any more public, let me close up. Do we have any more public comments on this particular matter?
Hello, I'm Patty Glover from Citrus College Cosmetology Department. We're not regulated by BPPE because we're a community college. We're a cosmetology program and a community college. But there's one section that we have to go to them for is our apprenticeship program. But not apprenticeship, I'm sorry, our externship program is, that legislation is under BPPE. But if the board had full, control of all schools, then we would stay under them like we are. Because we're not a private entity, we're a public school. So we don't have to deal with their licensing, criteria. So we're licensed through the board, and our license it's been there since 1964, when we became a department in a state-run community college. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comments on this matter, agenda item number 11? Not? Thank you for everyone for participating in this part of the agenda. We are turning this back over to.
Chance to speak at all?
What? We will get to the end. You'll have an opportunity if you have, yes.
Okay, agenda item number 12. We have in this memo a motion that's needed, but we actually don't need the motion. Sabina, I assume you agree with me that this is going to be included in sunset, so it's going to get approved with a motion for sunset. But I just wanted to provide some information. We had already discussed at the last meeting, making some changes to our licensure by endorsement, which is licensing people from other states. This, we are recommending just one little line that we'll include in our sunset report, and that is that it should that the certification from another state shall indicate that the examination for licensure was taken and passed in the United States of America. We do believe that they should, we need to clarify that they took their exam. It's a huge issue that I could talk about forever, but I will spare you. But that'll be included in our first draft of the sunset report, which is where at that point you will get to make a motion. All right. Do you want to see if there's any public comment on that? On item 12, any public comment?
Do we have any? Oh. And there, yes.
We have two seats and the other person wants to comment.
Okay.
Maybe it's a question to council through the chair. The language of 7331 is pretty broad. And I'm wondering, without legislation, as part of the application, could you ask for the date of a United States past examination without having to request a statutory update?
I don't think it's broad.
And you don't have to answer it now.
Yeah.
Something to consider.
Good night.
Right. Thank you. Okay, any more public comment on item number 12 on the agenda? No. Okay, Christy, back to you.
All right. This is an easy item, even though it looks gigantic. It is only an update. And quite honestly, I don't think I need to go through every single one of them. I can tell you, most importantly, that our pre-apprentice training that has been developed by the board, those regulations have been approved, finalized, done. It goes into effect July 1. We are in the process of implementation right now, where we will be sending lots of information out to sponsors and apprentices, and we're training staff internally. So we're super, like, we had a party. It was very exciting to have finally finished that. As for the rest of our regulations, there's no decisions that need to be made today. You've made decisions on all of them already. They are all in various forms of processing, and you'll get probably more. It'll be probably a little different at the next board meeting. It just happens that this board meeting, they're all in process. So very easy update on our regs. They're all moving forward.
Thank you so much for that, Christy. And before I go to public comments, let me just thank the board. You guys have been very patient, and I do appreciate that. And we are wrapping up. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open up for public comments that is not on the agenda. So if you have something that you would like to say or discuss that has not already been discussed in our agenda, fine. But if you bring up something that's already been discussed in our agenda, we will stop you because we will not be discussing it again. Just wanted to be clear. And you have 2 minutes. Come on up. Yes, and no. And also be advised that the board will not engage with you in this, this discussion.
No, I'm not used to a response. I've been writing a long time. I'm a hairstylist for 40 years. And I've never, I pay my fines, I'm honest. Vicky used to come out and inspect my place. And I had an incident where somebody moved in down the hall. It was an enclosed building, no windows. And someone started a lash business. And they started doing nails and harming everybody in the building. We had to have meetings. We had to call the fire department. And there was nothing we couldn't get a response. So I called all the time. I talked to Miguel Rios.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Are you asking a question?
No, I want to let you know a little bit about why I'm here. And it's regarding an unlicensed lash person who started a nail, started trafficking people in. And I did everything to give you evidence. And inspector came down. His name is Mr. Brian Stranahan, and he found evidence on November 30th of somebody unlicensed, not using a ventilation machine, not established. And he said, if you want to reach me, you can. And just call the board, and as procedure, they will get you in contact with me. 2 weeks later, she came back. The smell was through the room, this cancerous material, nail acetone. And I tried getting a hold of him only to be told that there is no evidence on November 30th. So I gave you evidence. I tried to reach President Calamafane. I showed you all her appointments. It's on Booksy right now. You could go on Booksy and you could do an eyelash appointment with her on Booksy. Jella Beauty Bar by Yvette Alfaro. And I was ignored and hurt. I was hurt like this.
Can I ask you 1 second?
Yes.
If you have a specific
Yes, I do.
concern?
She's still working unlicensed, and I've tried to reach you about it.
So actually, you know what? You were very lucky. We have our enforcement manager here today, and I'm actually going to direct you to go ahead and meet with him so you can raise your hand. Oh, turn around right there. He's waving his
But
hand.
I want to know why you allowed her to still keep working, even though I gave you all the evidence and I
So
mailed it to you
the
on
board
July 25th.
So the board has no information about this because nothing has risen to the level of the board. So you're
So
going to have to
my
talk to
email is mztahari@gmail.com. I'd be happy to forward
That
you
would be
all
great.
the appointments.
So go ahead and connect with
But
Addison back there.
I don't think I should pay fines when you're allowing somebody to work illegally.
So I connect with Addison and he can help you directly about the specific issue. And that way you can give him everything directly. And that would be the best route.
But he found evidence on that day and it was just buried, like nobody recognized anything.
Yeah, he's right there. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Jamie Schrabeck, Precision Nails. I'm sad to report that the Face and Body Expo has been canceled. You didn't take public comments during that part.
Start. Just give me 2 seconds about this, maybe about the step.
That's fine. I'll start over. Jamie Schrabeck, Precision Nails. You didn't take comment during the portion where you're reporting on your outreach, which I do appreciate, and thank you again for being at the premier Anaheim show. The Face and Body Expo, after having been in business for decades, has canceled their show for 2025. And they are promising to come back in 2026, but that remains to be seen. So they had planned to move back to the San Jose area. They moved it to the Santa Clara. And they just announced 2 weeks ago that it's canceled. So that may not have risen to the level of your notification on social media, but it was announced by the people who put that show on.
Thank you, Jamie.
Ken Williams again. First of all, you've all passed my test on hairstyling. You all look beautiful. So I had to say that, but I made enough copies of suggestions. I just wanted to put in the record that I've made enough copies for everyone on the board. And I hope that you review it, and I hope I see some of it on the next meeting agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if we are done with public comments?
Don't do your head like that. I'm Sherlina Allen again. Began to be a braider at the age of 11. I was braiding everybody in the neighborhood's hair and making money and supporting my family with it. I hear that, I know that they passed a bill that said that braiders didn't need a license, but as you can see that our industry in braiding, hair, and barbering, and almost every beauty industry is growing at a 98% rate. And our board is at 55% rate behind them. We're growing so fast. Everybody's so interested in being a barber, a hairstylist, a braider. There's braiders out there braiding at home, and they're causing tracking alopecia. They are not knowing that when you take the braids down and you remove the extensions, that the hair, it has a line of demarcation between the relaxer and the new growth, and what shampoos and conditioners to use, and how to remove the extensions properly so that the hair doesn't tangle. When I was 13, working in a salon in Long Beach, I had a client call back, which I had all satisfied clients. I had a client call back. The salon owner called me. It was actually a braid shop. It wasn't cosmetology regulated or anything. It was just, I was a braider in a braid shop. And her hair tangled. She went home, she took her own braids down, she removed her extensions, and she had a relaxer. Now, when I met her, I didn't know anything about her hair having a relaxer or relaxed on the ends about 4 inches and then 2 inches of new growth. And her hair just tangled up at her scalp like dreadlocks. So braiders need a license. They need a class. They need a sanitation class. They need to clean those combs. They need to not be able to have the opportunity to transfer psoriasis from one scalp to the next. They need to know that even parents inside of a home need to know how to separate their kids' brushes from the sister's brushes, from the kid with psoriasis brush and combs. They need to use separate tools. So braiders need a license on more occasions than one. And that is, they need chemical classes on chemicals and shampoos, clarifying shampoo. When you take clarifying shampoo and you cleanse someone who's removed their braids, the hair is going to tangle because it's going to dry the hair out. When they take moisturizing shampoos, right, and they shampoo the hair after taking braids out of the room, and they think that's going to just make it all easy, it's not, because that moisturizing shampoo has ingredients that has residue on it that's going to join the dirt that's already in the hair and tangle the hair. I'm done. And I still braid to this day. Where's Moses?
Great evening. My name is Doris Mosley. I'm a cosmetologist as well as a trichologist. Just to piggyback a little bit on what Charlene was saying, she was so true. Because braiders do need education. They do need a license because you need to know what you're working on before you work over it. And that they don't know. And they causing a lot of traction alopecia. They causing a lot of they don't know the product, not only the liquid product, they don't know the hair that they're putting on the head to know that it is plastic and it has a lot of chemicals that when a person perspires, it gets into the system. And I truly believe that's where a lot of cancer is coming from what's happening with the hair. They don't have the education. It's just not about just shampooing. It's about knowing what they're working on, again, before they work over it. And I don't understand. I know they didn't talk about this. This happened before. They took away 600 hours for the educational part of it. They took away the practical. And I've just been doing a little volunteering in the schools because I was in an accident and 80% of my hand was cut off, which they managed to save, thank God. So I've been observing. They need those 600 hours back. They need that practical exam because they're a little bit lost. And I'm like, you need to get that. You need to go to that board and do that practical. They need to see that you know how. Theory, I tell them, study the book, you'll pass the test. Just take the test every week, you can pass. But would you know what to do practical? Would you know what to do when you get out there? I tell them all the time, this is not the test. When you go to state board, you're going to get your license. Just pick them up.
1 more minute.
The test is when you go out there. Can you survive out there? So I say to you guys, I know you're doing an awesome job. And I have said in this seat before, it done violated some of the rules. So I know what that lady was going through this morning. And I was like, oh gosh, she having a hard time. But you gotta do your job. And I understood and I accepted it and I went on and I changed. I've been in this industry 53 years. I've seen a lot, heard a lot, did a lot. And my hair and hat goes off to you guys for the job that you got. Amen. President Thompson. I mean, I adore her, doing a great job. But please reconsider what you have done. If you're responsible for pulling them 600 hours and pulling that practical, they need that. You need to know they know how to handle shears, razor, hot tools. They don't know.
Thank you. That's 3 minutes.
Thank you. And I will just say and add that Doris Mosley is a legend, an icon in our industry. And I appreciate her and who she is. So that's my talk back, but I shouldn't be talking back, but. All right. Do you?
Say one thing. If you need me, right, in the braiding category for the state board, we need someone, I can help. I'll volunteer.
Just so we all know, braiding was exempt based on a lawsuit, had nothing to do with the board. We were long before my time. I've been here for 20 years. But so it would take legislation, not normally coming from the Board for Consumer Protection, but might be from the industry. So I highly recommend anyone who has ideas for changing things like that to contact your local assembly member or senator. They really do listen because they call me all the time. But that's the best way to get something like that changed.
Thank you. And with that being.
She did it, not me. I did it. Because Christy knows I was on the board 20 years ago when they had a braiding bill. Now, the only question really is, do any other states have braiding licenses? And the answer is yes, they do. They do. So what about someone that comes from Illinois that has a braider license, it comes to California, and they say, oh, it's no good anymore. And then you can't shampoo.
Oh, right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
At this time, I'm going to ask the board if any of you have any agenda items that you would like to see on the next agenda. I mean, at our next meeting. I'm tired. The agenda for the agenda?
Chrissy, sorry, I think for the purposes of helpful discussion, I think it would be helpful to know what we recommended on the last sunset and like what the result was to help kind of guide our conversation. Because I think there is some confusion both with the industry and the public about what our positions were going into sunset last time and what things were not within our control or things that, just so we have a better sense of, where our positions were and what things that this legislature decided and mandated that we implement. So I think that would be helpful for the purposes of discussion, especially since we have new members on the board who weren't there for the last sunset. Thank you.
Thank you, Callie Mae. Appreciate it. Anyone else?
I assume we're going to add task force.
Yeah. You took it out. task force?
There'll definitely be a lot of the same agenda items, but always keep in mind that you can contact Tanya or you can contact me if you think of something like next week or in 3 weeks that you're like, oh, we really should talk about that at the board. You can contact us anytime for an agenda item. I mean, or just to say hi.
Are we all done? If anything else, I would say this meeting is adjourned.